Well,
All right, everyone, it's 2 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this workshop to order. All right, in attendance, we have Carol, Ed, Bob, and myself, and I believe Doug is online. Is he online already?
Yes.
Okay. So,
I move to let Doug do his thing by extenuating circumstances.
Fully
so
participate.
we have a motion from Carol to allow Doug to fully participate in this meeting of the circumstances.
Why do we need to do that since I don't know, that was pretty wide open. But it's still, okay, that would be an exchange.
Okay, so I have a second on that?
Yeah.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, Doug,
Thank
can you
you.
hear us?
You can
All
hear.
right,
Yep, I'm good.
good. All right, Ross.
All right, welcome back.
We should say that to you.
Yeah, there we go. For the record, Russ Wire, Real Estate Econometrics, the assessment methodology consultant. And today, at our last meeting, we had at the workshop, I was sent off to do a couple more things. One was to take a look at the allocation, the alternative landscape measurements and how we allocate that. And the second part was now I realized was just to add a sentence to the water management. And I did talk with Carol about that and we'll add that to it. I thought I had covered it in a lot of other places, but we'll make sure I know specifically where I need to add that. So I think the only thing I really need to go over today is the alternative landscape measurements. And then I'll explain what I will do to the final report before next 2 weeks, I guess, when we have our public hearing.
20th.
Yeah, because there's only a couple of small tweaks to it, the way it is, I mean, the way it was sent out, but unless the board has any other things that they would like to do to it. So anyway, I did send the memo out, went out last Thursday, the 27th, and the board workshop, the supervisors asked to following additional alternative measures be run through the proposed amended and restated methodology. First was to determine the landscape outside the Pelican Preserve gate and split between Pelican Preserve and Gateway, including sending the entire anticipated 200,000 outside the gate budget to Gateway. And the second was to send 160 because 40,000 of the 200,000 was specifically inside the gate was outside the gate, but it was specifically for Pelican Preserve along the wall, landscaping and the two monuments out on Colonial Boulevard. And again, the second thing was to add that language. So we go to the page 2 of this. This is where we're going to determine the assessment impact. And if the budget, if 80% of the budget is moved to the Gateway budget and the remaining portion is added to the Pelican Preserve, which is the 160 versus 40. And in here, it was pointed out, and I did catch that, was on the table 1, if you add up all the budget, it doesn't come out to 911. There were 2 pieces that were missing on that, which were GIS web portal information, holiday lighting. That all adds up to 911,000. The reason I had that in there was when we looked at last year's budget and we took the landscaping portion over the 911,000 and we used the 12.05% allocation to go outside. That was close to very $110,000, which I put over because we trying to compare the apples to apples. I put that over into the Gateway side. And this was the only reason that table is in there, so you understand that that's where the 110 came from, the government. Table 2 was the Gateway landscaping budget on roadways, which is the 1426262. And so what I ended up doing there, that 110 is included up under the contractual services. I added it over to that side. That allowed us to compare the apples to apples. So when the initial draft roadway assessment calculations, including landscaping, were completed, the consultant had already moved the 110,000 outside the gate, as I just mentioned. Since C5 and commercial properties were not a calculation of the Pelican Preserve roadways and landscaping. A new budget for all landscaping along Treeline Avenue was generated by Ameriscape for the upcoming fiscal year 2026. So table 3 shows what their outside the gate and is going to be. And in this case, it was 167.91. So I used 160,000 And then they had let, they let you know, Chelsea, that 40,000 would be in addition for the Pelican Reserve portion. So that shows that's explained in the next paragraph. In order to calibrate that with the current, I had to take into account the 110,000, that is the gateway budget, and determine the difference to the 200,000 and 160,000. So I took the 110,000 out of the gateway budget. Then I turned around and took 160,000 and put it into the gateway budget, and then I put the 200,000 into the gateway budget. And if you go to table 4 and table 5 there we go. When this just takes and tells you how the budgets are revised. And then when we get to, so you can see we're version 1 and version 2, 566 and 606. So the 566 is without the 4,000. The 606 is with 40,000 into the Pelican Preserve budget. And then in the gateway, the 1626262 is 200,000 into the budget. And the 1586262 is without the Pelican Reserve in there. Finally, taking all of those budgets, all of those calculations, we go to table 6, which shows you variance and the calculations of what would happen with the adjustments. So if we take, I said 50 to 90,000, if you add the 110 to those two, that's how you get to the 160 and the 200,000. So the new roadway assessment with 50,000 or with 160,000 to gateway. The single family drops, the multifamily drops, the C5 trips go up because they didn't have any assessment before. So they're all getting all a new assessment. The Gateway Golf Course drops. The Pelican Preserve commercial trips go up, which get allocated among all the commercial. Gateway commercial drops. And the reason for that, when we had talked earlier, I talked to Mr. Hedges, he was wondering about that. And the reality is the trip generation. When you have I forgot to say to turn your phone. I turned mine off.
I turned mine on.
First belly hour. Looking for the doorbell.
And it was a spam risk.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to explain the difference between the two commercials. You're going to generate many more trips off of the commercial up there because of the type of commercial it is. You have a shopping center, you have a grocery store, you have gas stations, you have tire stores and all that. Where over here, it's mostly office and that sort of commercial, and that generates less trips. And when you look at the stuff up front where you have the large distribution centers, they don't generate a lot of trips, but they do when you have a gas station. That's why the differentiation, that's why the Pelican Preserve commercial, as we call it, would be going up and the gateway would be going down. So in reality, and then the Pelican Preserve golf course trips drop and the Pelican Preserve trips drop. We had the new road. If you take the full 200,000 over there, the gateway, the single family, the multifamily drops pretty good. The C5 trips go up again, and then the gateway golf course drops. Commercial goes up, and as the gateway commercial drops not as much, the Pelican Preserve trips drop more, and the Pelican Preserve golf course trips drop more. So that was the analysis on the two difference, and it's really, it's a board decision on how you want to handle that. But I know that's what you were asking in terms.
yeah, and I now understand it.
Okay.
And clarity purposes, but for the future, first, just assume have Pelican inside the gate. That's it. Outside the gate, gone. Why continue to have that differentiation? Go back to that thing.
Okay, say that again.
That what we finally settle on is the Pelican Reserve, the landscaping portion of Pelican Reserve inside the gate. Period. We don't need any more of the outside. Anything that's outside the gate, lump it all together with the commercial and handle it that.
Just the landscape.
Okay, that's interesting because I was gonna ask you, how do we handle Gateway Boulevard? It's just an arterial drip generation
Mhm.
and landscape is with it or without it?
It's with,
It's with it.
yes, ma'am.
So I was gonna suggest that we handle tree line the same way. So the landscaping of the residential streets inside Pelican, that just stays inside Pelican and that stays in the 002 budget. And then tree line and the landscaping, however we handle Gateway Boulevard, we handle tree line the same way and that goes into the
Go what?
01 budget?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me explain a couple of things. Number one, currently, the way we are doing it, whether the $40,000 is in there or not, is done by trip generation. So it's now measured the same way as it is over here. The other alternative, there's a third alternative to this, is you could take what you're doing, which is actually your landscaping along the wall, and you can put that within your inside budget. And then, and then the rest of it is all done by trip generation.
I don't see the value of doing it myself. It just adds to the perennial confusion. Just keep it clean, inside the gate, outside.
because really tree line is just a boulevard, like Gateway Boulevard. So
Oh, I
might as well
understand.
just treat it the same.
I understand.
Okay, so I have one question. So in Gateway Boulevard, it's back of sidewalk to the road, right? I'm just trying to think of Gateway Greens because that's the easiest and the one that's the most heavily landscaped. So if we don't do that, so that's I want to clarify with you. Everything from that wall, Gateway Greens, to the back of the sidewalk is still Gateway Greens.
Well, and that's exactly,
So
we
so
had
if we're
that.
going to do that, then I would say we'll do it for Gateway Greens, we'll do it for all the other communities that way.
And if you do it that way, but then what we need to do is to take a look at that, because then the 40 goes back in there. C5 would have to have their own.
Griffin also, like, cause that.
I like the way you talk, but.
But I just think it's gonna be more.
But I gotta be fair.
Yeah,
My
It's heavy.
covenants are such that my community owns 5 feet outside the wall.
Mhm.
So between the back of the sidewalk and the wall, that landscape maintenance is mine.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't want to push that off on somebody else. That's not theirs, that's mine.
and then I think it's the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, by the previous meeting, we determined that back of the wall to the back of the sidewalk and tree line portions are Pelican Preserve.
That's,
So it's exactly what
So-
Ed is saying. So we're taking HOA property and
But
paying.
what is the plat show? Does the
And I
plat
thought it's
show,
for them
does
to
the
look
plat,
at.
does the plat show a landscape buffer easement outside the wall?
it needs to be researched.
Because,
Yeah.
because ours, all of ours, the wall is centered on the easement. 5 feet in, 5 feet out.
C5 would have to be done the same.
I have no idea what's over there.
Meeting, Tony.
That's
That's a good thing.
Yes, I had the plastic survey. I don't have,
We'll see it real quick.
yeah, I did not bring it, 'cause I rushed out to the office, but there was a landscape buffer easement in favor of the, I believe, the association along Tree Line Boulevard. Up for the plat, my recollection, and whether or not the wall was there, I had to go through quickly, try to check the surveys that were performed for the golf course. I'm not sure.
So there is a, what is it, a 10-foot buffer easement?
I think it's wider than that. I'll retrieve it quickly.
Okay.
Because to me, if it's, if there's, whether there's a wall or not, if the easement goes outside, that belongs to the association. That's all there's to it.
Oh, but you could always get a easement from these, in favor of the district to do that. We've done that.
You would have to.
We've done that on a number of parcels.
You know, you'd have to have the easement, what do you call it, vacated.
No, but it can be assigned to the district or they could grant an easement if they own it in fee simple.
And if they don't want to do it, then.
Now, I just don't think, as much as I'd like to have it for my 1,500 people, I don't think it's fair. It's been ours since Christ was a child.
Well, that's the same argument I had with even why you talk about outside the gate in Pelican. We've had it since Christ was a child. If we're not gonna change it, I'm okay with leaving everything like it is. But if we're gonna change it, don't half change it.
Yeah. Be
But
consistent.
I guess I need, for me, I need to have clarity on who owns that property, because that's no, and I mean, I'm really disappointed because we talked exactly about this and we talked about Timber Ridge. Because that's exactly what their board requested last year, the year before, when I walked that property. But, and then we as a board decided that no, that they were responsible. So I don't mind as long as it's the same way across the board.
Well, perhaps you want to give Tony a little bit of time to research that survey real quick, and is there, you have additional items on your memo?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't think that's a big ticket item.
Yeah.
No,
It is something that we need to consistency.
well, the difference is gonna be, if you look at Pelican Reserve, the difference is gonna be $40,000.
Well, no, that's only part of it right now. If we don't change it, if you just forget all about the language of certain portions of tree line con, notice that it's either all or nothing. If it's nothing, what's the cost? If it's all, what's the cost? The 40,000 is the fly on the cherry here. If we're gonna move everything outside the gate, which I am completely comfortable with, then move it. But don't say we're not gonna move that portion because that doesn't fit what we've done since Jesus was made.
We need an answer.
We need to
Yeah.
take all of it or none of it.
I-
And I'm okay with either way we come out.
We just.
Because
The ordinance, I
we
get it.
now learn that, because of chip generation and everything else, the commercial properties are assessed more heavily. Well, that's a plus. And if it all comes to O2, okay. But we can't take the part that gives a plus and send it to O1, but the negative, the 40 grand or whatever, and say that stays with O2.
Then if we keep it that way, that means that when we get to the allocation of landscape and we go to the 12.05% that comes outside, or you can use the actual number.
Say that again.
What goes, because the trip generation, when you're putting it inside and outside, if you're gonna keep all of that, you're gonna use all the trip generation for that 160.
Well, I don't know until it's, tell me what the data says.
Yeah.
But I'm saying from the valuation point of view, we do it one way or the other.
The other second one.
I don't care as long as we're consistent.
The language.
Well, we've never been consistent, but that's one of the things. Trying to
So
get through.
Russ, I was gonna ask you, do any of your tables in any of these things have that?
You mean in terms of all or nothing?
Yes,
No,
okay. Can you do that?
yeah. But the thing is,
Well, I mean,
We're still gonna
it just
go from
seems to me
20.
when you're thinking about it,
If it's the same thing,
fish,
or
I mean,
before giving Russ that, I
Yeah.
think we find, I don't disagree, but before we give Russ.
Yeah, before Russ goes,
Before-
waste of time.
Exactly.
Get Tony
We
to
need
get
to
an
get
answer.
Tony to say yes, are we talking about the same thing? And then before we even tell him anything, we say we want Pelican and Gateway that fall within this criteria to be analyzed this way. I don't want to give Russ anything to do until.
The question,
Yeah.
well, does the community association or have the responsibility for the landscaping between the sidewalk and the wall? The answer is yes. And they've always had it, but we've always done it.
Just real quickly, based upon the golf course survey that was performed when the new owner bought it, for example, south of Pelican Reserve Boulevard, there's it's called ALBE. I think that's Association Landscape Buffer Easement. And it appears that there's a 6-foot chain link fence within the location. It kind of meanders in and out also.
Right, so snakes down the road,
Yes,
as does the road itself.
so I can keep, there's multiple parts to the survey.
So the question that you have is, where do you want to put the cost of that tree line avenue and the monuments and from back walk to the wall? So,
well, the monument should stay inside the gate,
okay,
because they're not trip generating type thing. But however we treat Gateway Boulevard, we should treat tree line the same way.
and if that's the case,
Then-
then we.
Then we're not gonna do what Bob is saying, correct?
We're gonna do from front of walk to
Yeah.
front of walk.
Which we talked about last meeting. So
Which
we're
would-
gonna,
which would
we're gonna
be-
treat tree line that way.
Walk to back.
We're gonna treat
Yeah,
tree
back-
line the same
Back of
way.
walk to back of walk. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we're gonna treat tree line the same way, then it's.
Then you would be consistent.
So then you're $40,000, so from sidewalk to that fence and the monuments stays inside 002.
And what I guess I'm saying, the numbers here, why would we do that? if we're going to go outside the wall, get rid of everything outside the wall.
Because what we're saying is we're gonna do this in Gateway,
We're not talking about gateway right now. I hear you what you're saying.
so that would be the same thought process for the Gateway people.
Why do we change anything? We want to keep things the way they were. Why do we change it only part?
It'll be
Go right away
consistent.
and back to back of sidewalk.
Yeah, if you're gonna be, if you're gonna be consistent, because if that stuff is all going into the gateway side, then you have to be consistent. And that means,
Yeah,
like you do it over here, it's all falling now into that GFO one.
Yeah, I would be opposed on the gateway side to be paying for anything that's between.
Because it's gonna be a lot. And it's gonna be not consistent with all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you like. I can know 6 communities will be benefiting from, and now they wouldn't be paying.
If we stay consistent, back and walk to back and walk, wherever, we're on safe ground.
I love the way we selectively look at what we're talking about. And why do we move any of it? Keep all the commercial, all of that in Pelican, like it's been for 25 years. Why are we changing going part?
Because we're trying to make it correct.
Well, we need it
Because
you're
it's
right.
been an error.
If you want to make it correct, then take it all. But you're saying, no, because it might impact somebody in Gateway.
No, that's not how we're saying that. That, I wanna be.
I'm not hearing the reason you don't want to do it is because Ed's worried.
Because
That
if
if he
you
No,
loses
no,
that,
instead,
that comes
if
to
we
us.
do it that, okay, I'll speak for myself. If we do it at Pelican that way, then we're gonna use the same thought process and Gateway.
Okay, I'm okay with it.
But then I have to be fair, that it is not fair. I don't feel as fair for the entire Gateway because the benefit is very selective to a few communities. It is not a benefit for all.
It's a benefit to everybody in this community. There's gonna be people that come in and I wouldn't blame them.
For yours, it'll be easy because the way it is set up, it is a benefit for all of you, but for us, would not.
Why should we change anything? You've never had the commercial properties as part of O1. They
To
have
do it right.
always had O2.
But to do it right.
Wait a minute,
Right.
Ed is right.
I have
Excuse
said,
me, I was still talking. Right is whatever we decide to do. If we've done it for 25 years, use your words, since Christ was a baby, what makes it now more right to change it?
because somebody could come in here and say, you're having me pay for something that I shouldn't be paying for. The plat is on their side.
And if it all stays in the O2 account, who is it that's gonna come? It doesn't impact.
Well, if it comes over here to our side,
We're not talking about that.
that, I thought that we were talking about that we were going to pay for that. We're paying for that cost.
But I'm saying, don't change a thing from the way we did it a year ago.
So then
All of that-
nothing on tree line comes over to 001.
Right, everything stays on O2 like it is now. Sorry. If you're gonna move it, don't split the baby, move it. And if you're not gonna move it,
And I can see somebody over there saying something, especially somebody on the outside, saying, why am I picking up the tab
because they've always picked
for
up
for the deal? That's not my cost. And we're just,
We're really selective on what's the right thing.
we're going to search. I think what we need, you said right. I think what we need to have Tony do is do the research to be able to tell Russ what the deal is that we need to do. We can't sit here and be chasing alternatives that are not factual. We can't do that.
Yeah, what it looks like right now, just looking at portions of that survey, there's ALBE, Association Landscape Buffers. That's dedicated in favor of the Pelican Reserve Community Association. And it varies in width like this to wide, it widens. And in there, looking at this, trying to discern with the graphics, it looks like the privacy wall and the chain link fence are within that, and sometimes in the middle, sometimes on the edges, it varies because of the width varies of that.
The fence wasn't put in with the survey line, it's just put in
But it was put in within the easement,
within the.
Let me ask this question.
it appears.
If you
Okay,
would
so
say,
Tony, what you're saying is that really the association should be managing that. They have the cost of that.
That's their easement. It appears that that's
So
their
if you
easement with the
wanted to
plat.
do tree line just like Gateway Boulevard, then the association would have to start doing that maintenance.
Correct.
And
That's how we
that
do it,
landscaping,
yes.
just like it is on the rest of Gateway Boulevard.
If it's all located within the association landscape buffer easement, yes.
And to the extent that everything we have done in Pelican to make our landscape align to what our contractor's been doing, is what we do.
Okay.
We went to every parcel that would fit into this kind of a category.
Yeah.
And we went to them and said, give us an easement for it.
Okay,
If you don't give us an easement, then you assume the cost.
and Bob, we can still do that.
Okay, but, okay, if they don't want it, if the association doesn't want it, then it's coming back upon the district,
Okay,
right?
and then it
Okay.
stays in the 002 account.
No, if it comes back, that's the crux. If it comes back to the district, it should be in the 01 because everything should be there.
Oh, okay,
That's where I'm looking at.
okay.
It's either all or none.
So the issues right now, outside the wall, there is a distance that makes up the easement that has been improved for landscaping, I'm assuming.
It
If
appears
you go up that wall, you see mulch, you see trees, you see bushes. Outside that is grass. A grass to the sidewalk, and then from the sidewalk to the road is whatever.
There's a
Combination of
multimodal
trees
path in
and
the middle of it.
combination of
It
trees.
meanders. It's not that clean. The multimodal path goes, there's shrubbery on both sides of that, okay.
Well, I think anything that's on the inside of the sidewalk is a no-brainer. That is a sidewalk or
within the right of way line of tree line, you mean?
I'm sorry,
Within the right of way of tree line?
within the right of way of tree line. That, I think that's off the table. That's a no-brainer. The issue is that this stuff that's between the wall and the boundary of the easement, that's what we're talking about.
Well, I doubt
And
that's
what we need is some idea of what that is. I can't believe that it's not consistent. If they had, if it's a 10-foot buffer easement, like in most of Gateway, it's 5 feet on one side, 5 feet on
It's
the other
it's
side.
fine.
And it bulges out in some spots, other spots it narrows.
And the landscaping is on
I'm
either side of
assuming that
that.
the wall did not follow the center line.
No, it's, I'll show you doing a breakdown.
What you're calling the wall is the fence, and that was an answer.
We need an answer to that before he goes and chases a goose, though.
To be honest with you, if we were going to make it match, my recommendation would be is you take the 160,000, which is, well, actually, it's going to be a little bit less than that because we have to take out C5 too, whatever that's going to be. To be consistent with what we're doing here at Gateway. That whole part, the 160,000 comes over to the Gateway side. The $40,000 stays in the Pelican Reserve side, and the 160 that comes over will not be a full 160 because C5 would have to pick up their portion, like you're picking up your portion outside of the gate. And then it's consistent with Gateway.
Where do we end up?
We're waiting on Tony.
Waiting on Tony.
Can you say that one more time for
Bob,
Bob?
there's $200,000 over there, right? 40,000 for the Pelican Preserve portion, 160,000 for the rest. My recommendation is to take the 160,000 less whatever the C5 portion is. Let's say it's 20,000, just for an example. So we'll take the $140,000 that goes into over the 001 account. The 20,000 is picked up by C5 and the 40,000 goes inside your wall or whatever, or wherever your landscape budget is. And then you're matching what you're doing over here. Now, the second alternative to that is that $40,000 can be measured two different ways because it's outside. You still want to use the trip. Well, it really won't matter because your trip generation is the same inside as outside.
The easement took care of that.
Yep. But anyway, for measuring it, because it is along the roadway, but your trip generation is the same no matter what kind of unit you have in there. The only difference is the golf course would be paying. So
Russ, can you point on here with what you just proposed, what that would, which column that would be and what the impact is to the Pelican Reserve trips?
You're talking about table 6?
Yes.
So you're telling me that as of right now, Pelican pays from the back of the wall to the back of the sidewalk, or no?
What I'm telling you is today, we pay for all that, both sides of the road. Okay, and the proposed change is that we were paying for everything outside the gate. So
And
what
what is
he's offering is,
the cost? Do you know the cost?
yeah, we just got that, we didn't.
Can you tell?
200,000.
Because, I mean,
Total cost, because the portion that you're talking about, Flavia, is 100,
only here
it's
is
40.
40,000, correct.
Yeah, we're talking 40,000 on total.
Yeah, I think, because I'm looking at some areas, it looks like it'd be really easy, and in some areas, like, look at this, it's just really out.
But if you're looking at leap or anything.
Yeah, I know, but it gives you somewhat of.
It's an idea, but it looks like it's centered, the wall for most practical purposes, the wall's centered on the easement. But it varies.
So Bob, well, Russ, can you answer what column you're talking about?
It would be the one for the $50,000 to get.
So Pelican Preserve would go down how much?
Like reserve would go down, it looks like it's 79.
$79. And then the commercials would go, the Pelican Preserve commercial would go up.
Yes, correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so Bob, other than, because that's the way we've always done it, what is your biggest concern with this?
Well, we've always had a lot of confusion about what we used to call the commercial versus now it's inside the gate, outside. Just wanted to make it simple. If it's not inside the gate, it goes in O1. Everything that's inside Pelican is an O2. Because I've always struggled with why we're taking the commercials, which I thought were financially advantageous to whoever has it, but that goes over to the O1. But now we've got this little sliver of 40,000. Oh, we don't want that.
But generally, you're going down.
And remember, the prior time, they weren't being charged for road or
I know,
anything like that.
I know that. And then again, if it's all now in O2, that will be a financial benefit.
But
We
not all,
weren't charging them, we were letting them get away with something. Now we've tuned into it. So again, if we didn't change a thing, I wouldn't say a word. We're okay. If we kept all of what we have today in the new budget, but if we're hell bent on changing and making part of the gateway, or part of the commercial over to the O1, no, that takes all. Why are we nitpicking about a 40 grand difference?
Well, what I would suggest, is we don't have the right to just do this without their permission. So perhaps before the public hearing, we request of the community association if they'd even entertain giving us an easement for it. Because if they say no, this is a moot point.
That's a big point. And that's what we've done consistently with every other parcel.
I don't think you want to open that can of worms.
Okay, we've done it about 39.
Gate, everybody in Gateway will do the same damn thing.
Well, just for example, on the left-hand side, see that
I
meandering
can
line?
open that, I have that.
Yeah, that's the plat, the golf course plat.
Which
And
page is it?
Can you open that?
I can, yeah, which page is it?
you can see how it
It's
meanders.
120 meg, so it's gonna take a little bit.
I can send you the plat, the golf course. You can,
Just for me, it's 7,000 feet. I'll do that in a heartbeat. I
You
can
send
get rid of that in a heartbeat,
okay, Laura,
to clean in the net.
Okay.
I'll send you the plat too. That's just,
But see, you know,
Go to
if
sheet
you're
4.
your point about the walls and doing things.
you go to sheet 4,
Before.
yes.
Until Pelican went through the exercise.
There you go. You see how it meanders on the left-hand side if you want to blow it up?
Okay, until we went through the exercise of seeing who owned what we were maintaining as a district, we didn't know. That's why we did it.
And
If
it's
you go
taken
down a
Tony,
little further.
what, 2 years?
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
And we've now reconciled everything, but apparently this last parcel didn't hit our radar because it was outside the gate.
What are we looking at?
That's the golf course survey, but if you go a little bit further south, you'll see, there's a notation as to the ALBE, but see how it varies, the kind of meanders?
So
Does the golf course survey mirror the easement?
It shows it. If you go to sheet 7, okay,
I was making a little
It says-
bit, sorry.
What's ALBE stand for?
Association Landscape Buffer Easement.
Okay, so that's the edge of the buffer easement.
If you can go south now. And keep going. Go to the next.
Well, then that raises a question, Tony. That's unlike what we've got in Gateway. Who owns the area in between the 2 points? What's that, no man's land?
Association.
No, the association probably owns that.
all the way to the sidewalk.
Property between the golf course and the ALBE?
All over the sidewalk.
the common elements surrounding, just like with yours, the community association owns the common elements around that, the outside, yes.
All the way to the sidewalk.
They're strapped parcels.
Go to sheet 6.
But my association owns to the backside of the easement, out the road. We own that.
Yeah, to the road.
And it's clear, I've got
Oh,
a
okay, yeah.
10-foot easement that's on the backside back.
Okay.
So
If you look
that's
at
not
this-
what I'm seeing here.
In the
I'm
middle-
seeing a property line that represents the golf course, and I'm seeing an ALBE, which is,
Outside,
that says with varies, which, how in the hell do they describe that in an easement?
In the
With
plat,
varies.
you got to see the tables in the plat to really appreciate it.
So you'll have to go see the tape. Okay, but my point is, who owns the land between the two?
The association.
Association.
The association.
Yeah.
Association. Between sidewalks.
Oh,
I
wait,
think I was trying
That
to
makes it even
say-
worse.
I'm just trying to
I think it makes it simple, really. I think it makes it simpler, to be honest with you.
Which is they handle. So
They
it's
handle.
And then, I mean, yeah, just going back, this is exactly what we did when Keith was here with Timber Ridge. So, cause they came to us and it was it was like over $100,000. And they said, this is the buffer, this is the palm tree trimming, and this is the mulch, and it's on us. And then we went, we researched it, and we're like, no, it's similar to this, it's association. And they didn't like the survey, they paid for an additional survey, and it was a waste of money for them because
Who had historically been paying?
their association, and it,
That's why
and then they were challenging on us and wanted them to make it part of the 001 and bring it to us, and we said, no. We have the easement, we have the right of way, but it goes to here, so like literally we met there, we walked every single survey state with Keith.
see
And then we said no because of that.
the difference in this particular case, comparing the two,
Mhm.
is that we, the district, has historically maintained this. We didn't have the right to do it, but we've been doing it.
Tony, what does that mean on the plat, you lost it.
No, I'm going back.
What does that ALBE with varies means when I see the arrow off of the road right away, which I understand? That arrow looks like it goes to the golf course property line.
Okay, what you need to do for that, you need to look at the plat of the golf course, actually. And I just sent that to, there you go.
And then Bob, and
And it's still-
and on the same note, we had Eagle Point and Hampton Park just a few years back. That we were paying it, and then I believe there was an irrigation issue, we went back and realized that we were paying for that. So we notified the association and I think that starting as 30 days, we realized that we were maintaining this irrigation, and so they took it, and same thing with Hampton Park when they built the roof. So when we do find those parcels that we're not responsible, the HOA is responsible, historically, and as far as I know, since I've been here, every single time we pass it on to the association and they start handling those
That's
things.
not what we've done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we have done in, those are the two that I can call out. If there's any more. that we
Take
have-
down a number of policies.
Yeah.
Like 30 different. Some were association,
This
some
makes
were
it,
individual homeowners.
contrary to what
We
you
just said,
said,
since we
this
historically
plat
maintained
shows.
We will continue
Yeah,
to
that's
take,
not what we
and they
did.
gave us easement.
Every time we found that we're doing something that was not right, we made it right. It didn't feel right for someone
Well,
else because they're paying in it.
That's right.
But they're paying one way or another, but we passed it on to them.
It's a logic. We had on that, it wasn't to avoid
Golf course
paying
property
property,
owner.
it was to
There's
maintain
nothing
control
community.
of what we did.
Mhm.
Because
We
we
need-
won't be
we
just
need
taking
Tony
care of 40
to
feet
get
of
an answer on it.
sidewalk area. And I'm taking care of the
I
other.
get that.
point. We wanted uniformity, and that was the overwhelming finding that we were trying to get. Primary reason was eventually we can't use it.
And everybody gave us an easement,
Everybody, did, without exception.
including the central.
Yeah, the only time we didn't get
Yeah,
the easement was for the Aviano cul-de-sac. They wanted to keep that
I
close.
think Passerella, and I don't have the graphic, has a graphic that they took the golf course survey, they took the leak information and they put everything on there for ownership and easement purposes. I don't have that one. I think we were going through everything, Bob. I think they prepared that when they were doing the GIS.
Well, this was never a focus, because we weren't aware that it was.
I think they did.
But they may be right.
I can try to call Will. Find out.
So anything else?
So I still don't know where it
Besides-
is.
Well, besides of Tony giving us like a final, information on this, maybe a recap, and then we'll give direction to Ross.
Well, I guess the question is, one, the board's question is, as you can tell, the landscape buffer easement meander, it's not typical parallel, it does all this. And then the question is, where's the location of the wall and the fence within it? And this golf course survey appears to show some of that. As to where it's located, and it also appears to be within the landscape buffer easement. And then you have a distance between the wall and or fence and the road right of way, it varies, again, depending upon which portion you're looking at. Then you have the turn lane, which makes it a little bit more interesting, because the turn lane is owned by Lee County.
One of the things I was gonna mention, that when you think about the landscape maintenance, and they're gonna do it for the wall, that a lot of that landscape is up against the wall, because the rest of it's just mowing for the most part.
It sure be a lot simpler. Because this drawing right here makes it perfectly clear. The golf course owns, or on the other side of the golf course is the easement, all the way to the edge. There isn't any portion that, the county reserves owns in there. That's not shown on this drawing. It'd be easier just to be able to say, from the back side of the walk to the wall is a part of the landscape buffer easement for purposes of our deal, period, and be done with it.
Just like you do in all your
Like
places.
we do all over here, and be done with it. Make it a lot cleaner.
And in reality, then we would need to do the same for C5. Whatever
Whatever it is over there,
they get me to take that over.
make it a lot simpler. Because especially with this wavering, varying, I don't know who's somebody to sleep when they did this, but this is ridiculous.
So we've got a lot of it like that. If we take the $40,000 and divide it by the 7,500 homes between the two communities.
Yeah.
It's $5 a year.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, if we go to the association and
Say
say,
Russ to calculate it.
okay, if we
It's
go
not
to
worth
this, if we go to the association and say, this isn't ours anymore, and we don't want to do it. So now you're picking up the cost of this. We're sticking them with a bill that they have never had to pay before. But yet we're taking away the commercial that did pay for it in years past. You know, it looks like we're trying to do it both ways. That's why I would suggest, I don't care which we decide, but let's be consistent with it. If we don't want to get into the ins and outs of this, I'm fine. And keep all that commercial stuff together in Pelican will pay it like they always have done in '02. I didn't make choice.
But it's not what they're responsible for.
Even though you're taking,
Because we
But we have-
represent commercial too, like, so
But here again, you're picking and selected plumbing. We didn't have to move it. It has been done 25 years within Pelican. We don't have to
We're
move it.
trying to correct it. That's
We
what.
only want to correct certain portions, Ed.
We're trying to correct them all, I believe. The thing we're running into is the complicated nature of the beast. How do you define it?
I was gonna say, if you're taking away the commercial, but you're also taking away their cost from you.
We know, absolutely. But I believe that the cost to us is less than the revenue that it's generating. I think the tax revenue from those sources is of a financial benefit to whoever gets it. Because we have a revenue, a tax increase, your assessment, and we have a cost down here. So if we keep all of it, no harm, no foul, we've been doing 25 years, we'll keep on doing it. But if we want to take the gravy out of here and then get down to the cost and say, oh, there's $40,000, you guys don't be paying that. That's where I say, hey, that's not right. So do it one way or the other, but don't,
Tony's got to come up with something where
Keep
we're at and what the definition of who owns.
it doesn't.
Well, no, again, just real quick. If you look at LEAP, I'm recognizing the horse, it matches up with what you see on the plats. You can tell where that property is encumbered by that landscape buffer easement also. And then you can also see the fence and the wall pretty well on this.
that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, so I mean,
From,
They all kind of match up.
it was very clear.
and then when you have the golf course survey, where's that again, Pelican survey? The colored one, yeah. There again, if you go up a little bit further north, you see where the privacy wall is.
Yeah, keep them.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, no, you can go, see, it says privacy wall.
That's the fire
What, bottom? It says 1.5.
Yeah.
We'll see. The one thing we have here is this was a deal that was done for the golf course.
Right,
So they were only concentrating on defining the property over the golf course.
correct.
They were not responsible for or in charge of trying to locate the easement.
But they did.
But they did.
Did
I don't see
ALBE,
that.
They did on the entire property. They did a great job.
I don't see that here though.
it says ALBE, I'd see that, it says width varying, ALBE.
They just put ALB with varies. They don't say who owns it.
That's correct. But that is owned by the association in the dedication is to the association.
Yeah, yeah, that, I agree with that.
Let me give you a simple math equation. $110,000 is what was being put onto the outside. That was your outside portion, correct? And that was spread among all of the parcels out there, but also the parcels inside. You were all sharing in that. So if you take the 110,000 and you multiply that by the 87.95%, which is your allocation versus the 12.05%. That comes to $96,745. But, and if we're going to do it now, let's increase that to 200,000, you're going to go up even more. But if you push all of that over into the GF001, you're only going to be paying 40,000 versus the 96,000. Outside the gate.
Are you on that website? You're on that site. Click on.
I'm
click
following you.
on-
I think.
What I don't know is what the revenue.
Click on the area inside.
Oh, by the way,
The revenue is going to be whatever you're.
once again, just real quick, reading from the plat. The plat says dedicated to Pelican Reserve Community Association, Inc., its successors and assigns, all easements herein labeled Association Landscape Buffer Easements, ALBE, with responsibility for maintenance. So that's, then from the plat, you can see how it varies, and you have all those columns.
Bingo. It's like what-
Still, in my humble little brain, I would like to see tree line in this methodology, tree line treated the same as Gateway Boulevard.
I would agree
That's what
with
we're
that.
trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do, right? I'm
That's
fine with
Trying
that.
to do.
And that's just what I was telling you from a math perspective. It's less for Pelican Reserve to do that.
Yeah, I think this picture that Laura's got on that right now, pretty well printed up, it indicates that that's, golf course.
Well, the left is, Pelican Reserve, yeah. It's a golf cart path outside the track, that's the ALBE track.
Yeah, the golf course stops right there and then it goes into the ABLG or whatever you call
But
it.
I don't care of this. Treat it
Yeah,
the same.
let's just do what, Carol said. I agree with that.
So you want the
Make the
40,000
determination.
of that stretch to be on community association.
And then we can always go to the community association and say, do you want to give us an easement? And if they say yes, then that goes into the 002 account. It does not go into the 001 account.
But across the street, it all goes into the 01. Nobody gets anything to say about it. Okay, I would like to be a uniform. That's my opinion.
And it also gives you control of the landscaping. If it's within your budget on your side versus it being outside and just strictly a gateway.
That's nothing. So
Russ, are you clear?
I'm clear. Are you clear? Are we all clear?
Yep.
No?
Stick your fingers out.
Will, if we can do that, tree line the same as Gateway Boulevard. I am very comfortable then in basically wrapping up both waterways and roads. I think if you can,
They are where they are.
right. I mean, I don't think there's any more decisions to make. I think they're pretty clear. And I think we could put those two sections basically to bed and say, yes, we agree on that. That's my opinion. We do have a few more minutes left and I wanted to bring up another topic if I could. Parks and Recreation. I'm trying to get in my mind a picture of what now, if we go with the recommendation that is made and we pay the 0.15, right?
No.
0.15,
0.15.
okay. How will the people in Pelican be treated? By this, I mean, does a person from Pelican now have the right to, I don't know, play pickleball?
No different.
Or,
No different.
No
They're
different.
part of
They can
Gateway,
use
always
the
have
dog
been a part of
parks.
Gateway, to go
They
right
can
in,
do whatever they want, just
Yep.
gonna do it. There is no difference. They're just having a discounted rate for full use.
just like C5.
Mhm.
Anybody that's inside Gateway has the access to these facilities,
They'll
period.
come in and get the free cards for, the pool. They will do anything. The only thing that we charge the gateway, I think, is cards for the. For
But you
for
can pay, you
dog
pay the
park.
resident rate versus the non-resident rate.
For the
If
dog
you-
park.
For the dog.
The only thing that we charge in addition, because we're trying to make it up, is the dog park. But given that we're gonna start construction soon, you're not even gonna worry about that. But all they have to do is come in and show a driver's license, get a full card, and once we have the park built, they will, if there's a car access, they will get a card for pickleball. It will, that's no different.
Okay. Interesting. Because, and are we going to open that up also to the commercial areas
They always have been.
and C5?
They always have been. If they're paying for, like,
We're not C5 and commercial over
C5,
in Pelican, but
Pelican.
anybody,
on this side, yeah.
anybody who was paying into the Parks and Rec budget was treated that way. You guys were not paying into the Parks and Rec budget, which is why you weren't. So if we go with this 0.15 and everybody except for Gateway pays the 0.15 and Gateway pays 1, you all have the same equal access to the facilities.
So you just
So
get,
commercial also?
Yes.
yes. But the only difference is financially, you guys will pay less and you have full run of the stock. We'll pay a little bit more and you have full run of the stock.
You pay less and get the same benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I doubt that anybody is going to come over here to the pickleball courts as opposed to the ones that are very close to their
Yeah.
house.
Unless you're
But
gonna,
I'm just saying,
But there is, I'll tell
is
you this,
it possible?
it's an option and I'll tell you this, during repair times and during times that things need to be needed, because that just happened at Stony Brook. Their pool is at 5 months, 6 months, so how long it has been? So we had an influx of people that used their pool, but they had to empty their pool and they're doing massive repairs. So the residents still had the ability to come in and we issue a lot of cards to the pool for people that didn't use it.
Okay,
So if you guys need to do something with your courts or anything like that, there will be no
That'd be
disruption to them. They can just come and use it here more often and things like that.
okay. I still thought maybe that you guys would say, no.
Nope.
No,
No way.
If you're paying,
Say, oh, no.
They know we'll never do it.
you can
I know.
use 15% of the time. You can.
There's never been food. Never been a food pass issue.
Not us.
We have not had a single food pass issued to anyone in Gateway,
I know.
other than myself.
Well, because we have 3 of them, you only have 1.
We got 5 of them, really.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah, the 2
the cell
small
phone.
white ones. Okay, okay, thank you.
right, so
That
that's all.
answers that question.
Okay, so thank you. Or you may have something else?
I only have one more thing. I just wanted to kind of wrap it up. What I wanted to do is add that sentence 5, which we talked about on page 5. And then I'm going to add I'm going to add a category of gateway administration. And that's where we're going to put like the sheriff's, their cost, just like at Pelican Reserve, which you do, is it Fort Myers?
Yeah.
Did you guys- So that will be put into, they'll have their own allocation and measurement.
you guys, make sure you sign in, please.
Is there gonna be anything in there other than sheriff or something?
No,
That was the only one
that's the only one I could see that is different. I will revisit it though, just to see if there's something else. And that's all part of the budgeting process. I mean, we'll go through the budget again and say, hey, these line items need to fall here and here and throw holy water on it.
Thank you. No more,
Any questions for me?
no, we're good. So go ahead and take a 5-minute.
Yep.
break.
What do we, on the regular session, like 11A? Is there a decision there? Yeah.
Just, it's
It's a discussion.
like Carol requested last time, it's there in case you have one.
Okay, I guess we'll try to figure out, Russ.
Visit if you think.
We'll get that in and out.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Russ.
It's 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, let's go ahead and now stand up for the pledge of allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll go ahead and have roll call. So in attendance, we have Bob, Ed, Carol, and myself, and I believe we have Doug Banks online. I need a motion for allowing Doug to fully participate in the meeting remotely due to exceptional
I
circumstances.
so moved.
So we have a motion by Bob, second by Ed, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey Doug, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. So approval of the final agenda.
So moved.
So we have a motion, and a second for the approval of the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comment.
I have one public comment. Ed Hedges regarding item 11A. I know you already know, but just a reminder, you get your 3 minutes. So
The only thing I
please
want,
announce yourself. I won't start your time.
Ed Hedges, 10532 Azura, and PPAC, Vice Chair. The only thing I want, Russ's landscape assessment or methodology that he went through was based on Ameriscape's base landscape bid for Pelican, which was like $575,000. That's only one line item of the landscape budget. The total landscape budget's a little over $900,000 in 25. Some of it's irrigation replacement, tree trimming, other things that all impact tree line as well. So the numbers that I believe he did are understating what the impact and what the shift would be that would actually go to Gateway or to that you have to look at when we go through and figure out all the other line items in the landscape budget have to be allocated between tree line and inside the gate as well. It just might be understating the impact right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. No, nobody else?
Nope.
Okay. Global achievements and recognitions, do you have anything?
I'd just like to call it, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, you might be duplicate.
No, probably, I don't know. I'd just like to call out our public works staff. We've received a bunch of compliments regarding the painting of the monuments in Pelican Preserve. And we've got, I think, 2 emails over the last day or so. So I just want to give shout out to those guys.
And that's just the painting is redoing with the drip line, the landscape and the lighting, all the work that they've been doing to improve those over there.
Oh, thank you.
Not for staff in this one, but this is for vendors. I had people here in Gateway Greens that were very complimentary of both MRI and Metower on their pond work in the community. Both jobs came out beautiful. They look fantastic. And the people were very, very well pleased, not only with the end result, but with how you got to the end result. We had a few issues here and there, but when you're doing this type of work, it's hard to tear up dirt and make a mess and not make somebody mad. And these people, or a couple of them, are very opinionated, and I hear about it on the bad side. And I was quite pleased when I heard about it on the good side, that they were very happy with both 105 and was it 130? 130. Yeah, both contractors did a great job on those 2 months.
Pass that information along.
Thank you, Ed. We'll go ahead and move to advisory committees and items 2 and 4. We have Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee report.
And I would like to commend Peggy Hall. That was a very concise and report of what's going on. And if that really helps, I would love it if we could get that from the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee also.
Totally agree. And I think that we have required, and then they have a new chair, right?
Yes,
So maybe,
we're gonna work on getting these in tandem with the district staff's monthly reports on the second meeting of each month. So we're gonna get that in tandem.
This would be a good format for everybody to see.
Absolutely.
I agree. Well, let's go ahead and move to approval of minutes.
I move on agenda item 8A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You know, I can't hear Doug.
He's not.
Aye.
There he is.
Sorry, Doug.
I move on consent agenda items A and B.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nothing for district manager, engineer.
Engineers next week.
Engineer.
One question on 9B. I was noticing on both the bids of Aviano and pronounce it.
Ravenna.
They took out the striping. Why did they take out the striping? Don't you?
I don't think there's any.
There isn't any striping? Okay. No,
they're both residential roads.
Okay, that can be a little dangerous.
Yeah, they're
You don't
both
have stripes.
residential.
But there aren't any right now?
No.
Okay.
Are we on agenda item 11A?
11A.
Okay, I would like to move to ask our consultant for methodology to, based on the conversation that we had today, and with ponds and roads, that he redo the report.
Mhm.
Because at the next meeting on the 20th is the public hearing. And I don't want people coming and saying, okay, and such and such page 5, it says blah, 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 blah. And we say, oh, no, we're already working on that. We're gonna change it. I think we should make all the changes
Revised version prior
and
to
have
next week.
the correct thing where we stand right now
That's what I said.
in front of everybody.
Alright, so that's what Rossi is gonna do, and we just go ahead and do it. You just need direction, right?
He has to.
You're
write.
excited, right?
I heard it an hour ago.
Okay,
Okay, and then you're going to revise. And you're gonna do the whole thing, so we're gonna have new tables 19 and 20 also, which is where,
Anything else for Russ?
that's my motion.
you're making a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second your motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you, Russ.
Yes,
Yep. Thanks, Russ.
short one, this.
See you in 2 weeks.
Except for two.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, landscape irrigation system.
Yep, so, we have James from RWA here and Nathan is our project manager for this one, if we're seeing it, but we'll have James come up and do a presentation.
James McCord, RWA for record. So this is 30%, so it's very conceptual. So what we looked at for the landscape and irrigation, the landscape was added after the original project of just the irrigation system. The executive summary just kind of states the basic findings that we have so far when it comes to both the irrigation and landscape. Given that order of magnitude, which order of magnitude is for cost is a very movable object, if you will. It's just a very budgetary number. 60% will have some pretty good cost because we'll actually have equipment and know exactly how much we're going to really need. And this is just based on square foot methods. And taking for landscape was just taking a simple bed that was like what you guys have out and kind of price how much that would cost and have and came up with the square foot method. So depending on how much area we've got. So the pricing is a little, like I said, it's very, very budgetary, very, next time we'll have a significantly better idea of what the cost would be for the system. So that the irrigation was based on square footage. Think it's a little high, but it's good to know the contingency was like about 4 million. And then the irrigation was about $500,000.
Are we saying that the 500,000 on Griffin Drive is in addition to the 4 million? So we're at 4.5 million for the total?
The landscape, yes, sir. The landscape would be about $500,000. And that
Okay, so
includes,
the irrigation was in the 4, the
Yeah.
landscaping is an
Yes.
additional half a
Correct.
million.
and that included, included sod, and the landscape was, a lot of it was sod and some beds to make the sod, make the Griffin Drive more uniform.
So
Okay,
are
and
you, are you basically tearing everything up and taking everything out and putting all new stuff in?
Everything except the service lines, which are the large lines. So from the meter on is going to be all replaced for the irrigation system, control systems and everything like that too.
So
Okay, where are the service lines?
that'd be the lines coming off.
That's the big one.
Basically the big stuff.
Oh,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
big stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
but
we're
the
not,
big stuff in every community.
But like,
No, I mean, down the road.
yes, ma'am, just the
Okay.
common areas and the right of ways. Yes, ma'am.
why couldn't we have salvaged some of that pipe and just put the controllers on the existing, let's say 1 inch, 1.5 inch lines instead of tearing out everything?
Well, a few reasons. One, we have no information exactly how the original system was built to do that. The cost to do those things, just for people to go and try to dig and find these items is gonna be enormous, to be honest with you. Two, PVC has about a 40-year shelf life, and you're kind of close to that already. So you could, there'll be some areas that are newer that we will say that don't have in the next phase, that don't need the immediate attention, but go ahead and have it designed out. So when those things start needing to be replaced, it can be replaced over time if it can't be done all at one time.
So you're coming off the meter, off the main, you're not doing anything with the mains. Are we adding new meters to connect in, or are we utilizing the existing meters to make the extensions to the controllers?
Currently, we're going to try to use just the existing meters. There are some limitations that we're finding out, which is the service lines. So that'll be in the next one. We're going to look at the most cost efficient way to do it. It could be maybe we just upgrade the service lines and you can double your water capacity on some of those because there's some pressure issues, some flow issues. And I think that's what it is. But we still got a little bit more to look at. We're still trying to get a final determination of which meters are actually yours. So I'm waiting on that from staff, and we're working on that next. And if we can use those, we can minimize the clocks. But if not, we may add more controllers to reduce piping. So I'm going to look at what's going to be the most cost effective way to implement this.
This is all basically a linear system, correct?
Yes, sir. I guess you're
Basically,
yes, sir.
most part. How many controllers have you had in the system? I had a real difficult time with the map. We needed a big map that just shows everything instead of those real detailed maps of going to S to S to S to B to C to F.
We gave you a puzzle for a reason.
Yeah.
So
I need that. But how many
The
controllers do we have?
order of magnitude says that right now I'm proposing four actual controllers that can handle 200 zones per controller. We're going, full 2-wire system.
How
I
many
think-
zones?
Don't know that yet. I think currently you have about 300, I think now, but that'll change based on designing it for more efficiency. It may take more. There may be some of these limiting factors they may not have taken into consideration. So we may have to make some smaller, but you'll have enough capacity for 800 zones. I don't think we're going to go 3 times as much, but mainly the restriction is the distance. The clock can only send signal so far. So
Okay.
I've maxed those out. And then I've got one spot so we don't have to run conduit. I've got what they call like a little substation.
Sub-controllers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we
So
have
it's
done
like-
that over Caitlin.
So it's like 5 controllers, and we're looking at the baseline system. Probably was the best out of all the choices that we had for this.
Good.
Plus you guys already own one too, so.
I did not see anywhere that we any longer have any nodes. You've, like to me, you've eliminated all
All
those.
those are gonna go away, so you can, because you can't really have good information with those. So everything is gonna be tied in, so staff will know exactly how much water flow, where the problems are. And
Well, the thing is, you add a lot of costs by eliminating nodes. But the other issue is, unlike David Reed's, where we have a bunch of cul-de-sacs, the last thing I wanted to do is run thousands of feet of wire and pipe to get to a cul-de-sac. We don't have that here. It was basically linear. So the need necessity of having nodes to begin with was questionable to start.
Yeah, and these days, since technology has changed, you can buy controllers that are solar panel DC controllers that don't have to run wire like that. And we're gonna look at all these different things. If we can keep the wire down, the conduit down, what's gonna be the most cost effective way to do this?
Okay, you led right into the question that I ran into at Gateway. Have you coordinated your controller locations with FPL? That require power.
Right now, the controller locations are where controllers are now.
So
So
the
there's
power
power.
is charged now,
Because I mean, some of those could be $5,000 to drop some power, and we try not to do that.
5,000, yeah, lots of left.
Yeah,
But double that. FPL is immensely difficult to work with. on that.
I've worked with them in the past on a lot of projects.
If you've answered that question and you've got power at your controllers and your subcontrollers, that's good.
Yeah, and like I said, so I actually looked at where the existing controllers are because we knew we had power there and placed those first. And like I said, I was able to get by 4 with the distances. And again, so we didn't have to run conduit all the way down Daniels Road. We talked about, and we went to a little substation that can communicate with the other controllers because it's going to by cell modem. But and there's power there because there's something else already. There's already a controller there. So yes, sir, I took that into consideration because that could be a really big cost, and there's no need to add that cost.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I learned that the hard way dealing with FPL.
Yeah, and another thing we're proposing, which I think from talking to staff, they were in favor for, and it's a little more expensive, the project, but is putting all the 2-wire and conduit. That way, if something happens, you can replace it, and this will add the longevity of the system. Because that way, most of your problems with irrigation systems are electrical, and this will help solve that, and it'll save you a lot of money in the long run, and make this thing last you a lot longer. It's more of an investment.
And you did mention baseline.
Yes, sir. I looked at 6 different control systems, and it came down to 2. Then after seeing what would work best with what you guys have, and then again that you've already got it, plus the 10-year warranty with baseline, we felt that was going to be the best solution.
So this
I hope
is
that's
a
acceptable.
30,000 foot overview. We're only at 30% design. We'll bring back to you at 60% design where we're at. A couple meetings ago, you approved for additional landscaping of Griffin Drive since it's minimal. So he is incorporating and caught that up to the 30% design of the irrigation. So as we continue to progress, we'll bring back those plans and those designs to you.
Is this an enterprise project?
No, this is a general fund out of the 2023 bond series funded project.
Can you go to the?
Meaning it's bond money.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's going to be annual or amortized. Can you go to the next, on the executive summary, the next, yeah, there you go. No, is that it? Where's the one that shows that had nodes and input devices? That if we got rid of the nodes.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're thinking of a different type of node, like you're thinking of a battery powered controller.
Yes.
This is moisture sensors, rain buckets.
Okay, so they're not,
no.
they're not controlling the operation of the water.
The nodes and input devices, those are actually input devices for the system. So we can set this, so like if it rains, a
Okay.
quarter inch, it
Sure, that
stops,
stuff.
and it automatically recalculate how much. So this makes your system smart. So the nodes.
Okay, go on to the next one, the one that had the plantings.
Yes, sir.
There you go, there you go. What is a 1 gallon plant material?
It's just the size of container. It's a smaller.
Would that be considered like an annual?
No, sir. It's just the size of plant material. It's a nursery size. It's the pot's going to be about a 9-inch pot.
So it's not,
Smaller plant.
okay, so, okay.
The size of the bucket,
Yes.
Okay, I
is
get,
1 gallon.
I get confused with the gallon of an annual versus a gallon of a plant, because I'm doing this right now, and I love your numbers. They are a lot less than the numbers I'm thinking. Yeah,
You're seeing unit cost at 50 cents, but there's 21,000. That's unit cost per square foot. So that one little pot might cover, if it's a plant that's going to have a 3-foot spread, a normal 3-foot spread, it's going to cover 9 square feet. So 9 times that 50 cents is about $5.
Okay.
So
just
it was just,
find out if you had a secret, because I wouldn't tell my landscape people, I'm not seeing these numbers.
well, a couple of things too. When you go and competitively bid large projects like this, you're going, you know, actually I put a higher number than I think you'll get it for too. So again, the 50 cents is not for the plant, it's for the square foot the plant takes up.
And the 3-to-1 palms, that means every third
That,
tree is going to be a palm?
no, man, that means 1 tree or 3 palms. It's,
So 1 tree or 3 palms?
yeah, 3-to-1 ratio. Typically, that's what,
He's just trying to avoid saying no.
What do you palms?
so
You have to plant oaks?
not necessarily.
Yeah, I think
That's our identity, so
But
I
then-
encouraged him to plant oaks where it was smart and did not interfere with Bill's operations of the utility.
At the end of the lakes.
yeah,
Well,
But aren't they also dirty and lake all over? And
All of the above.
all trees have some type of litter.
okay, so I do have a question on that. We're talking about Gateway Boulevard.
Griffin.
This is Griffin.
Griffin.
This has not been ironed out.
I know, I'm just trying to. I don't wanna get work that we don't even have a vision for it as a board, right? I don't wanna give work for him and for staff. So I'm trying to picture what Oaks would be at. It would be on Bristol Side Park. If any, because we don't have space on the other side.
And hey, just really quick, I just want
We're
to,
gonna run into an issue on Griffin Drive relative expenditure funds, I can tell you that right
And,
now.
and
A
we'll,
big issue.
and we'll need to look at clear zones and things like that and make sure that there is a tree that may be appropriate, oak may not be appropriate. There may not be enough space, distance for a car to recover, and you sure don't want to put yourself in a liability. So we'll use FDOT standards for clear zones and things like that. So that's going to depend on the species. Once we start looking at each little spot, running these numbers, running view zones to make sure we don't cause any traffic issues.
Yeah, and then if you can just refresh my memory, the front of the elementary school, that is not us, or.
So on the front
That's-
side,
that's-
between the road and the sidewalk, that big area of Bahia, that's us. So the idea, right, is you don't,
The only place that I can think that will be able to.
so you don't even have to do the oaks. So in the front of that design drawing, you have a palette of different options for planting material that eventually you guys will be presented with to make a decision of what you want that theme to look like down that
Okay.
corridor. So it doesn't even have to be an oak. We could stick with the sables that we already have and just continue it and maybe just change out the planting material. The big part of that is changing the right side of the road going northbound from Bahia to the St. Augustine Palmetto to match the other side of the road
You got that.
uniformity.
Doug's got his hand raised too easily.
Right.
A lot of areas you put red, which was denotes no landscaping, no irrigation. What?
The right side of the road does not have irrigation right now.
No, that's what we
Yeah,
have.
well, my thought is that how do we explain to the people who live in the areas that don't have anything? And the good one is basically West Links Drive. That's almost totally gone. We just gonna let that grass go dead? We're gonna handle that.
Wait,
Yeah.
West Links Drive, down to the,
Commerce to Daniels.
from Commerce to Daniels.
Okay.
As I noticed on the drawing, that was red both sides of the creek, which means we're.
So so on the opposite side, on those edges right there, we only have like a
Yeah.
2-foot strip
Yeah,
right there.
it's-
We don't water that currently, and we're not recommending to add irrigation
So
there.
between the sidewalk and the curb where there's grass.
We do not currently irrigate that. No. We only do the 2 medians at the
I
end.
saw the medians.
That's the only thing that we currently irrigate, and we're not recommending adding irrigation to those zones.
The reason being is the cost to do it would be for the,
I'm just thinking of the people that are there, they're gonna say,
Yeah.
you got your area of water, mind it.
well, currently it's not, and so we're just saying, we don't suggest I mean, you can do whatever, we're just suggesting that we don't feel that that's a good resources.
Well, I think maybe I would have done it a little bit more politically correct. I wouldn't put a red line around that didn't need a red line to begin with.
So
I
what,
just omitted it so that somebody,
No,
right now it looks like a book.
We were just covering-
Waving the flag at them.
It was just showing you're the board.
I think what I would do is that next time, change your designation, cross hatch it or whatever, and indicate not now watered. So it's not something
right.
that's like we made a decision just to leave you out.
so Doug had a question. Go ahead, Doug.
yeah, just really quick. So Chelsea, a couple things, and they might be a little premature, but as we're looking at landscaping on Griffin or anywhere else in the community, where there's opportunity to put plantings to deter some of that street parking, if you could just maybe just keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
And then two, this is going to overstate the obvious, but I'd love to get out of the road watering and sidewalk watering business. So
That's James's goal.
in the new design, the street watering, I think will be addressed, but also this might be a timing issue, but I know we have issues where we're watering sidewalks during times where there is use. So either we solution it through design or we solution it through timing. So just points of awareness.
No more free car washes. Yeah, you got it.
We didn't do anything about going Griffin Drive. That doesn't belong to us. We don't make a decision about off-street parking on that. That's county.
Understood, but if we can be smart with our landscaping design and as long as it's approved by the county.
We won't put rocks in there, boulders, but we'll put stuff that will be able to park on one.
Also, the
Good.
county was out there handing out tickets at school letting out because,
That's not stop.
yeah, there was quite a few tickets that were being handed out today. So.
Yeah.
The last thing we need is more parking along the edge of the road to make it look like a mess.
So does anybody have any other questions for James?
No, thank you.
No.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
We'll come back at 60%.
All right, perfect.
You're a lot more to see. Thank you so much for your time.
Mark Quinn.
Ballpark win for 60%.
We're looking at,
What is the, it's on, I
it's
guess,
the April, I think it's the second meeting.
So, very soon.
So, okay, so is this going to be a 2026 budget item?
It's already in your budget for 2020,
2025.
from the 2023 bond series.
Yeah, but how much money? I thought we were at 2.5 million.
We're gonna, Nathan applied for.
I've already submitted the grant.
Submitted the grant that I think you guys were successful, so our goal is next year, yes. Between letting, final design, if we have any permitting, et cetera, so, thank you, James.
Thank you.
and just let you know,
We'll look at that.
it will look at it because we pushed this one back 2 weeks because I must say thank you to the staff. I had some surgery and I would have probably been not been able to stand up in front of you guys. So the 60% might be just 2 weeks behind our original schedule. So
All right,
thank you.
all right, let's go ahead and move to the award consideration for the meter box replacement.
I move to approve agenda items 11C, E, and F, because they all go together.
I'd suggest that the motion be taken up separately for each one of those items. And they're separate, just do them.
Then I think I'm just gonna move on D.
I'll
Appreciate that, thank you.
Motion and a
I'll second that.
11D, all in favor, say aye.
Oh, wait, discussion,
Oh, you wanted a motion, or you want to second for discussion, okay.
yeah. So D is those black boxes we've been hearing about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then E is still the black boxes,
Yes,
and then F is the actual
meter,
meter itself,
yes,
to three different people.
yes.
Yes.
And so the idea is that ultimately we will decide between the three people
Yes, ma'am.
which meter we're gonna put in.
Yes, after a approximately 9-month testing period. Hopefully, at the end of that, we'll have what Arcadis and staff recommend to be the winning bidder for full deployment.
So have we decided which vendors are going to get which locations of the 3 types of meters we're putting in?
We've identified company A, B, and C, those locations specifically. We just have to assign each company those, yes.
So no.
We have it, we should put it in.
Yes, Tony.
Madam Chair, I suggest that the motion be rephrased to read that the district award the bid for the meter box replacement to Met Power Environmental Services, Inc., based upon the recommendation from Arcadis and also from the Selection Advisory Committee as outlined in the agenda item summary, blue sheet number 11D.
And Met
That's what you
I knew what Karen was gonna say.
Tower.
seconded on that.
And just so you guys know, Met Tower and their sub Demco is here, in case you had any questions.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussions? No, go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for that one. Next one.
Okay, I'm gonna move on agenda item 11E, if Tony will tell me exactly.
This was a little
Tell me
easier.
what I want to say.
The engineer to do the construction and inspection.
I know,
I
but
would suggest the motion be to approve the task authorization with Arcadis Inc. In the amount not to exceed $799,480 for full-time construction engineering inspection services and part-time construction management services for the meter box replacement.
How did we get
that's
around,
what I said.
how did we get around bidding this?
We did not.
We did
We
not.
have a current contract with Arcadis.
So that's how we did it.
Yeah.
Continuation.
And, yeah,
Continuation.
it's a project under the contract we have with them that was
Under the.
negotiated after the ranking to the CCNA.
Makes it easier and faster, huh?
Oh, yeah, I just trying to figure out, we've had this issue come up before.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Carol.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You.
I'll move on agenda item 11F, if Tony will tell me what I should say.
What I'd suggest, Madam Chair, Supervisor Pancow, is that the board accept the Selection Advisory Committee's ranking recommendations to award and authorize negotiations for entering into a contract with the top ranked firm being Pedal Valves Inc., National Metering Services Inc., and David Michael Ellis DBA M&E Construction. Is that correct, Chelsea?
Yes.
And recommend proceeding to negotiate. If the negotiations are not successful, come back to the board. So,
That's
go to
what
the
I
next
said.
ranked firm.
Yep.
Basically negotiate with these three firms and successful sign the contracts. Not successful with one of them, then go to the next one.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 One question on, how do we have dollar amounts in here now?
Because we received pricing for the pilot study from those three companies. That total.
That's all, just.
Yes, just the pilot.
Next item, community branding.
Can we skip that because he's not here yet? Because I thought y'all were gonna take much longer on the irrigation.
All right. So you're gonna go ahead and move to district manager items?
Yes, so, you were emailed and also attached is the, request from the PPC at the last meeting. You all, asked at the request of, well, in the last meeting.
During the
While,
last meeting,
during the last meeting, we received a letter from, the.
Jennifer Kalinsky.
Jennifer Kalinsky on behalf of the community association. Basically requesting a meeting with our consultant, Russ Wire, assessment methodology consultant, and having him meet with their professional consultant, Hank Fishkind. Board directed us to Tony and I to have a conversation with Jennifer and her team. And so what we're recommending as a result of that meeting is to, if the board so chooses, have Russ, Laura, and myself meet with Mr. Fishkind. I don't believe they've identified any PPCA members to attend.
It won't be the attorneys. The attorneys will not be there.
Correct.
Say it again.
The attorneys will not be present. It's,
I don't like the idea of a deal of something at this action, this level, and board not being involved at all. I want to ask Fishkind, I've got so many questions, it's not funny for that man. Because I've got history with him that goes way back.
Yeah, well, that's why we don't want you there,
And probably is not.
because
But the issue is that I am totally opposed.
we need to move forward, not backward.
I'm not moving backward. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to find out how is it that he tells me X when now he's telling me Y? But he's not telling me because I don't get to talk to him. As a board member, I absolutely refuse to have a meeting of where as staff and we who vote on this are not there to ask questions. That's absolutely absurd. Totally.
You feel that there's gonna be some kind of a decision made
I'm
by
sorry.
that group, or what's your reservation?
My reservation is that I don't know that I'm being told the truth. I want to hear it directly from him. I would love to see his report that basically is being said what his report says, but I haven't seen it from him that says all these things that they say he says, because I don't believe it. Because I got
Well,
several
you're
places
saying
where he's
what they say.
doing work that he's gonna have a
You're
hard time
further ahead of the
explaining.
process than I am. I haven't heard a thing that he said.
Do I know?
What is this that he's saying? I've not heard one word.
Read that report that we just got. It's 3 pages long from the attorney. It's talking about basically what he says.
Their
That
discussion and clarification.
It's not correct. It's bogus,
And
and I don't buy it.
I would like to see the meeting for the specific reason of in the attorney's memo. She specifically outlined 4 areas. She isn't talking about the whole methodology. She's talking about 4 areas
That is the.
that the association has concerns about. Russ is a professional, Fishkind is a professional, and our staff is a professional. I feel very comfortable that they could sit down and talk through these 4 items
I won't be
and come back with a recommendation.
opposed unless we as a board are involved in that.
We're not involved, we don't have to do anything.
You're gonna be making the decision, Bob.
But
Hey,
You're
Ed,
going to
hey,
be making the decision, not staff. It's us 5. We're not making the decision, and I want to be able to ask questions of the person that supposedly is telling us that our consultant doesn't know what he's doing. That's exactly what that letter said.
And I don't think it's going to be this guy against that guy.
Well, that's exactly what it's going to be.
No. 2
Madam Chair.
professionals sit down together and they say, okay, you use the ABC method on this particular one. Well, did you think about using the XYZ method instead? And the other person says, well, yeah, I thought about it and that method would require blah, 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 blah. And the history in this district is that they keep waterways separate, they keep this separate, they keep that separate. And the other guy says, well, did you think about doing this, this, and this? I don't mind a conversation where other ideas are brought up and discussed.
Neither do I. All I want to do is be able to be there and ask questions.
Madam Chair.
Because if we don't, we're going to have this come back and we are going to be making decisions and not having the ability to, let's say, quiz the people that are making.
Okay,
And
so-
my thing is that I'm totally opposed.
So will you be willing to go ahead and have the meeting and we can decide, pick a representative of the board to go in and be at the meeting?
No, hey, Madam Chair, I have an option.
When Doug,
Yeah, I think, if we allow staff and the experts to get in a room and have a pre-meeting, I think as opposed to that, once we get the update from staff, I think it would be absolutely acceptable to invite Fishkind to a board meeting where we can directly ask questions and it be on the record.
Doug, our problem is time. We don't have time. We need really to have this meeting. And in fact, it should have occurred a long time ago. If Fishkind had his report done, why didn't Fishkind contact Russ and give Russ his opinion of the various components of the report? I've never seen a consultant do his work through an attorney. I've never seen that before in my life.
It's a in that world, Ed.
The respect is that the consultant should talk to the equal consultant.
that's
He
what
didn't
this
do
is.
that.
That's exactly what this is.
Huh?
That's exactly what this is. The 2 consultants are talking.
They aren't.
Yeah, but I think, but Bob, I think Ed's point is,
The thing,
The
we're
issue-
talking about 4
The-
items.
I understand that. I understand that. My issue is I want to be there to ask that consultant questions about these 4 components. Because I've got some history with this guy. How
And I
does
think the
he get on
issue
other
is-
projects? He does the very same thing that he's now saying is unfair.
well, I think, Bob, I think the
find that
issue
amazing.
is
But I
is
think
not
we're-
having the experts in the room hashing it out, but the board is the one that ultimately has to vote. So we need to be able to get as much information firsthand as possible. So I think we need to, if timing is the issue, so we're saying this is going to occur prior to the next board meeting, which is the public hearing, correct?
That's it. And really, Doug, that almost has to happen. It's going to look pretty stupid going to that public hearing and not having yet taken and heard and discussed what this guy has to say.
So-
Unless we're going to have another board meeting between now and the 20th, I don't know how in that dickens you're going to get this to happen.
So
I
what-
just don't know how it's going to happen.
What I was suggesting is if the board approved that staff and Russ meet with Hank, we would do that as soon as possible, potentially early next week. That way we could provide a summary report of the discussions that were had and have it in your agenda for the next meeting. And if you wanted to invite him during, I mean, the public hearing, anyone can go.
Don't say it's too late.
Absolutely, and typically you would have, a party would typically have their expert appear if they wish to get anything on the record to address any particular issue by a governmental body. And because again, attorneys are not witnesses, attorneys generally are not considered as witnesses in proceedings, they're attorneys and advocates. Perhaps there might be some questions that can be provided to Chelsea and Laura beforehand by Mr. Tinkle.
I love the idea, Tony. I would, that's an idea, but here's my problem. What I'm gonna ask questions about that I don't know. I want to see a copy of this man's report. Now, if I've got a copy of that report ahead of that meeting, and then I can give you the questions and I get an assurance from you, you ask the questions, then I'm all for that. But I'm not gonna sit here and vote for this thing on a blind eye deal where you got two consultants here. It's like having two doctors, two lawyers, two of anything. You're gonna get opinions. It's not that one guy is wrong. The other guy's got a different opinion. That's fine. Show me your opinion. Let me hear, and let me see what you know.
What does he have?
Yeah, you don't know.
So we asked, as part of the conversation, we asked for what is attached here, which is a tentative agenda that.
Well, they said he's presented a report. I want to see the report.
That's what I was asking.
And if we're not comfortable doing it, if you're not comfortable with us having the meeting, that's absolutely fine too. We support whatever the board wishes to do.
I think a meeting should take place to iron out. I think a meeting should take place.
I think we should get a copy of the report.
We need the meeting. We need the meeting. But we need to make sure we know what the hell we're doing at the meeting. I want to make sure that before staff or anybody else on our side goes into the meeting, they see what the man's talking about. We've lifted our skirts. He's seen everything we've done. We've seen nothing he's done.
Yeah,
Nothing.
typically, quite frankly, my other practice world, I represent private parties before governmental bodies. If I have a client and an issue with my client is objecting to or participating in a particular public hearing process, I don't like to drop off a comprehensive document the day of the meeting, the day of the hearing. I like to have the governing body, the decision maker have my thoughts in advance of the meeting. Because that inures to the benefit of all sides, quite frankly, both my client that I'm representing, it's fairness to the staff and the governmental body and to the board. And if you're trying to, this is my opinion, if you're trying to persuade a body to act in a manner that you wish on behalf of your client, you want them to see your thoughts ahead of time, get them to think about it, and maybe talk with them if you can. But that's, your approach is one way, that's just my approach.
The other one, Tony,
That's all I'm
is
saying.
that if you get that and you're confident in what you're saying, your first contact would have been to the other consultant. You would have done that. I mean, that's courtesy.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but anything other than, not him, because I don't want to blame Hank on this. I'm blaming that attorney. I trust her about as far as I can throw her. The issue is that she's making these statements that he supposedly is making, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
So prior to the meeting with staff, we need a copy of the report. So the board can review and present any questions to staff. And then
That I go along with,
post meeting.
I have concern about if the board then each board member generates separate questions to the staff to present that poses
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
its own separate, well,
Yeah, it's the way we always do it. And then post the meeting, there would be an opportunity prior to the town hall to ask Fishkind to come in, make a statement, or answer additional questions.
Bob, let me ask you, is the report ready?
I have no idea.
Are you aware of the?
I've never spoken to Fishkind, I've never seen a report.
I've never
I
spoken
don't have
to the
anything to do with
attorney, I've
any of
never spoken to this guy. I have no idea.
Can I make
But
those-
remember, Bob and I are not Fishkind's client.
Yeah. So I'm-
The association
Have you guys heard that my question?
Oh, I haven't heard it.
Okay.
Can I make another
Yes.
suggestion? You continue this meeting to
That's what
a
I'm
certain
thinking.
next week, and we invite him. If he chooses to show up, he chooses to show up. If he chooses not to,
I think that's a good idea, but and I just also want to mention that in these kind of proceedings, a person doesn't have to provide their objections in advance. But I think generally good practice is they did. So the governmental body, because you can take, you're required to take the comments up until the time of the meeting, but I think that's a great idea.
But we still need to see the report prior to that.
Yeah, but just, especially when I get a letter from an attorney that's giving me threats of litigation if I don't do this, and this.
I think that's all we can do.
I don't like that.
All we can do is request. I think progression. Chelsea should.
I think the letter specifically said they were not going, they are
They don't want
not
to.
to file.
Yeah,
But that means the fire officer.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one. To me, the proper
Cross
way,
is heavy here.
the
Yeah, no, that.
proper way of doing this, the proper way is that we should go to
I'm only available.
the committee, the PPAC, and have them or the attorney furnish the document to us. We going to Fishkind direct is, I don't think appropriate.
Well, to me, the proper way is to have invited them in the workshop from day one all the way through. But we
But they
didn't do
were
that.
fighting.
But we didn't do that. No, not to do the kind of give and take.
There was a motion that you made back in September that said we were going to hire another consultant.
And we never did that either.
And we never did that
Because,
you couldn't find one.
correct. And then Tony had mentioned
But
that.
now you have another consultant.
And also,
Why
What are
can't
we
you
afraid
let
of?
the two consultants?
We're not, like, I think
well, that's what they should be doing.
we are
not doing
agreed to that.
And
But they're not.
we're down to the end, and we have a meeting on the 20th. I don't want to go to that meeting on the 20th and not have given the opportunity to this guy to speak. If he doesn't want to furnish us with a copy of the report, as far as I'm concerned, to hell with it.
Well,
All right, I'm available on the 14th. So if you guys, that's the only date I'm available next week to continue this meeting and have him come in.
What is the,
Right. That's the only day that I'm available.
next Friday?
Yeah, so if he wants to come into the meeting, we'll have the whole parties here. That's the only item we'll be discussing.
I have to make sure Russ is available on Friday.
well, okay, I guess I'm getting too deep in the process here, but I thought all we were considering was to have Fishkind and Russ together with these two staff members to have give and take.
Well,
I get
hold on a minute. Let's retract. The issue is we're having a meeting on Friday without seeing that report.
Forget about
I'm not
Friday.
gonna
Let's
tell
talk
you
about
at
the
the
purpose of
meeting
the
and try to do a speed reading contest on his report. If I'm gonna have him go to the meeting or agree to the meeting on the 14th, I want to see the report so that I can read it ahead of time. Don't try to pull one over on me. I'm not.
Why
buying
do we
that.
have a consultant if it does take your blessing
I'm
and not his? What do we have Russ for if you've got to have?
Is anyone to contact, like, is there?
Russ doesn't vote.
We got 10
I
minutes.
vote.
They're not voting in this, Ed.
No. This methodology and the deal that's going to come before us is 5 of us vote. Russ doesn't vote. Nobody else here does. We vote. And I'm going to have the knowledge of what I'm voting on. Right now, I have a report that I have all the confidence in the world on. But I am willing to listen to somebody with an alternative plan.
You don't want to vote on something you didn't know what was in it, but yet you were perfectly willing to repeal Rule 6 without having a clue what the financial impact was.
I didn't worry about the financial.
I know you don't.
I
Well, why worry about that?
Why
This
are you
is
so worried with
Yeah.
two professionals
meeting.
meeting and talk to each other?
They may all agree on it. There may not be any issues at all.
And they may,
Because
and they may
maybe
talk
I
in
wanna-
code to each other
maybe I-
that only they can understand.
Maybe I want to ask them one question they haven't thought of.
So as of right now, what is on the table is staff with their consultant and our consultant. Do you want to do that, yes or no?
I make a motion that that's exactly what we did.
Second. I think the two consultants should talk.
That's not a copy of the report. I'm not going to be blindsided. That attorney.
Why are you
attorney
saying
is
that?
bad.
That's your opinion.
So
Opinion.
can we get into a meeting? Would your motion be to have them meet as soon as possible, maybe by Wednesday? And then a report to be provided to the board no later than Friday the 14th.
Great. Yeah.
Would that be a motion? Because then that allows us, all of us.
I don't care what they come up with. We don't have to accept it.
Yeah.
Correct, but at least we'll have a report plus an additional summary of what the conversation was by us, the 14th.
Contingent
Yeah, but-
upon them providing their draft of their.
Are they going to give the report to Russ before the meeting? I don't want Russ going in there and have to do a speed read of this report. You don't do that to a consultant. That's bullshit. You don't do that.
Same words.
No.
But I understand,
More at night, but then last night, I see what's coming and I'm not, if somebody wants to sue over there, sue me. Sue me, roll the dice and sue me. Because I think you're gonna get,
So-
you're gonna get your kick in the butt kicked.
We have a motion on the floor in a second,
Well, I guess-
but I wanna,
What is the motion? I want to, I mean,
yes, well,
I think that's important. I'm not sure. what the
The
motion.
motion
is
is for,
the, go ahead.
the motion was that we allow our consultant to be their consultant with the two staff members. And then we'll have a summary of that meeting will be presented to us by no later than the 13th.
Which includes also the report.
Which includes any recommendation that they may or may not-
Plus the report.
Hold on, time out, you're, be concise with your motion, please. So,
Okay, so we allow the meeting to take place that's been asked for between Fishkind, Russ Wire, and the staff members. That's the first, allow it to take place. And then the second part of it is that if they generate a recommendation, that it come to us no later than the 13th, so that we can have, and that's it. And so then we can have a discussion on the 14th that we need. We can have adjourn this meeting and have a continuance if it's needed.
And one final thing, that the summary plus the report, because I
Okay.
just have the summary of the conversation, but not report one
Well,
thing.
we're requesting the right report. We can't amend.
yes,
Yeah.
It's in the motion.
that doesn't matter, they can say pound sand, we're giving you the report.
If they do that, then you don't have a meeting.
But then the not having a meeting is not beneficial to any of the parties. Is there any way that we can, that you reconsider for us to just withdraw your motion, allow us 10 minutes to get in contact with somebody, Pelican, either the President Association or Fishkind, and get, yes,
You
and
can, he
okay,
can call Kalinsky and I can call Russ and see if they're
So-
available.
and then we can get that in now. So would you willing to withdraw your motion?
Wants to know or she wants to know? See,
See, yes,
both, right?
yes.
Yes,
Available, is the report available? Can you send it to us? Secondly,
and then I will need to meet with us sometime next week.
So instead of taking a 10-minute break, do you want to let Scott do the branding and he and I can step out and make the calls?
Sure.
So you
That'll
want
work.
to, you want
Okay, so
to
Bob, withdraw his motion.
Just see if Fishkine's gonna
I'll read it to you when you come back.
Okay, so we're gonna jump over, so we're gonna pause this item, we'll come back to it. And we'll take up agenda item number 11U. All right, so we have Scott with Pearl Brands here to present the brand style guide.
Afternoon.
Hi, Scott.
So over the past few weeks, you guys have had access to the newly designed Gateway Services brand style guide. I hope you've had a chance to look at it and kind of go over some of the things that are in it. In order to be mindful of your time today, I think as opposed to walking you through all 20 pages of the guide and getting into details of that, what I'd like to do is go over what makes the guide important for Gateway, and then also how it's structured, and what each section is and how it's best utilized for Gateway. After that, we can open it up to questions if you have any questions of me or insights. And then I don't know if you guys have discussed the tagline options or not, but and if you want to get there today or not, but if so, I've got those we can look at as well. All right, so looking at,
Tagline options would be like, make America great again, that kind of.
yes,
Okay,
that was one of them.
thank you.
So looking at what makes this making Gateway green. Looking at what makes this guide important for Gateway. A, it ensures consistency across all communications. Does it matter? Do you want to go to the next slide or?
Tell me what you were.
Oh, okay. So it maintains a unified look and message across signage, emails, social media, reports, and public outreach. It also reinforces trust and credibility. Professional and consistent brand identity enhances public confidence in your services and your governance. It also enhances recognition and community engagement. A clear and recognizable brand helps residents, businesses, and stakeholders Easily identify your role in the community. It clarifies messaging and tone. It ensures all public communications, newsletters, and social media posts align with the district's professional and community-focused voice. So that outlines kind of 4 main points of why this guide is very important to utilize for Gateway and the benefits that it will have. Moving down to looking at how the guide is set up, and it's really, there's a bunch of ancillary parts, but it's really set up in.
Can you go back
Sure.
one slide? And have we as a board ever voted on
The logo?
the logo,
No.
that logo
No,
that we're adopting?
no, because remember, I believe
I
Bob.
thought we
made a-
had some consensus, but we
Yeah,
had some
because
particulars
Bob
about it.
had asked For, my numbers serve me right?
Some recognition that Pelican Reserve, which is a third of the community, might be represented in our logo.
Is that the wrong bird?
That's not in the logo.
I'm sorry, I don't see the bird.
And I don't see any old people.
That's why.
That is not a pelican.
But it's definitely not a pelican.
I don't see any old people. Maybe we could have,
Yes, I don't
Get a
see any
year.
old people either.
maybe under the trees, we could have some old lady pushing a walker.
Can you tell us?
Some old lady.
Okay, I don't mean,
Okay,
seriously, I didn't mean
I
to
did not
interrupt
recall
you,
that.
but
I do not recall.
I think before you go through everything, there should be a vote on that is the emblem that we're going to use.
Well, of the ones that were offered, that was the one that was most acceptable at that meeting.
I
don't
understand that, and that's the one
But I
that.
still have to
The
read.
poll,
The community elected or voted
Right.
voters, wow, yes.
but I still think the board should say something.
Well, I think after the presentation, if we can vote for the adoption of the brand
Logo.
standard, including the new logo.
After the presentation?
That's what I
Because
would do.
I guess he's just explaining the reasoning why.
Oh, I understand. Okay, sure. Go for it.
Thanks. All right, so getting back to looking at how this guide is structured and the different sections and what they can do for Gateway. First one, it defines brand audiences. It defines the primary, residents and property owners, and the secondary, businesses, developers, HOAs, audiences you serve. It ensures communication is targeted, relevant, and engaging to different stakeholders in the community. Next section gets into brand identity, dealing with the logo. This establishes consistent visual elements like logos, colors, and typography to maintain a professional and consistent brand presence. It strengthens recognition and credibility by ensuring all materials align with your identity. And we move on to defining brand voice. Brand voice sets the tone and messaging style to reflect your community-centered, knowledgeable, and approachable communication. This helps create clear, engaging, and professional messaging across public outreach, social media, and official statements. And then finally, we talk about brand use across different media. This guides how you present yourself across digital platforms, ensuring consistency in branding, tone, and content. And it outlines best practices for website visuals, social media engagement, and video production to maintain professionalism and accessibility. So those are the 4 main sections of the guide. You can see, and it gets much more into the definition and why I didn't want to read through all that here today. But so that's basically the structure of it and how it will help Gateway and whoever is engaging with the brand and pushing the brand out there. Any questions or insights?
I would like to hear what Doug has to say.
Yeah, no, I think
You're
this is,
more into this than I am.
Yeah,
to be
it's-
honest with you.
it's absolutely in line with what a brand standard and style guides are. So everything you're saying is right in line with what I was expecting. And just for point of clarification, when you guys were talking about Pelican, what we're looking at here is the brand and logo of Gateway as a overarching community. We don't incorporate sub communities in the overarching brand. I mean, we can, but we have so many to incorporate: Pelican, Stony Brook, Gateway Greens, Pinecrest. So we don't typically do that. So when I look at it, this new logo and the brand standard and style guide represents Gateway as a whole.
Doug, I have a question for you.
I was gonna say, I don't disagree with that, except that when you come into any of the quote unquote gateway communities, you know you're a gateway. When you go into Pelican, there's nothing to indicate that they're part of gateway.
You
I don't know
are
what
because
means
you're,
to-
but Pelicans community, just like Gateway Greens, just like Stony Brook. You have a designation that's different, but however, you're still part of the Gateway district.
But you pass a gateway sign to get to Stony Brook. You can't go to Stony Brook without passing the gateway sign.
Yeah, but we don't amend a community logo for one sub-community, not all sub-communities.
I'm not necessarily suggesting that, really trying to point out that you can't get into Gateway Greens without going through a community sign.
So maybe
what we need to do is to put the gateway signs
by Pelican.
at where the Pelican Preserve signs are now.
Can you imagine us trying to put it in?
Pelican, we'd be happy to sell it to you at a good price,
No, but-
and then we could put a,
I mean,
Yeah, but
Pelican signage stays Pelican signage. Unless you want to adopt it.
Well, I think what he's saying is every single entry, except for the Danish Preserve of Commerce, has a gateway sign identifying the boundaries of the district. And we don't have one at Pelican, so it's not adding to the Pelican sign, it's maybe creating a half moon sign, totally new, that will say gateway out there, and then.
Well, that could
inside
easily
of
be that could easily be a sub.
Accomplished, and I don't think that would be a wrong thing to do.
No, well, I mean, to me, that could easily be a phase 2 of this brand standard for Pelican.
Right down. Okay.
I've had people ask me, how much is this gonna cost us? I don't have an answer. What's this deal gonna cost?
well, after we pass it, we can look at that.
I'm sorry? And the deal is, why do you need it?
We need it.
The average Joe on the street doesn't think we need it.
Yeah.
But my deal is I can't answer the question what it's gonna cost.
Okay.
Well, we don't know. I mean, because when you look at a brand, there's the first, and I'll let whoever the expert in the room can speak to this as well. But this can come in multiple phases over multiple years. I mean, the first step is to adopt internally on letterhead, the new building.
Your building.
And you start to transition the brand over time.
I'm just trying to get a dollar idea. We talked at $10,000, we talked at $5,000, we talked
Well-
at 20,000. I have no idea.
And I will tell you this, like, visiting the monuments as often as I have, they are massive disrepairs. There is no more repairing.
Oh, well, now hold on. I'm a little bit different now with that. If we're just talking about changing and upgrading monuments, I don't have a problem with that at all. I totally understand that. But putting letterhead and all that, people ask me, why?
Because you're gonna stay consistent with
They,
it.
they,
If
they
you
just don't
instead of
see any
holding-
advantage to it.
Yeah, well, once you get rid of all what we have, we'll get into the new one. I think that there will be no difference for us. But I will say, I do believe there's savings on, I will eliminate at least 3 monuments.
Well, monuments definitely need to be taken care of.
So
I totally agree
that's
with
the point. Once we're gonna take care of it, this is the time. So let's not take care of
Waste
it,
money.
waste money. So let's do it all once. And I personally would eliminate at least 3 signs. I would just keep the one on 82, the one on Daniels and Gateway Boulevard, the one in Stony Brook.
In other words,
And then in addition, Pelican, because the money you'll be saving on doing the one by the charter school and Red Sox, you cannot see that, that's under there.
Say it again.
There's a monument by the Red Sox in the Gateway Elementary.
Yeah, I know.
I would get rid of that one because you can't see it, and then it looks like 2 feet
Well,
tall.
yeah.
So they'll,
Scott, how do people typically, roll this out?
Well, obviously, you do all the internal stuff first. That's not public out facing. And then depending on budget, I mean, obviously, the more you can do, the earlier, the better. So you're not having the brand confusion. So you're not seeing one monument with the griffin, one monument with the oak trees. So that type of thing you want.
We have that now. We don't have one monument that's the same. The Stony Brook is different than Griffin. The Griffin is different than Daniels. The Daniels is different than one by the Charles. So that, the confusion is there. We already got there.
Right,
Yeah, you're looking at $10,000-$15,000 to do each monument. So you can easily get to $100,000.
Well, like Scott said, it says the budget is available, you know, the paper stuff, the online stuff, like all of that's,
It's easy.
That's-
These are easy.
that's.
No brainers.
Don't come to Gateway Greens and say that. Because they'll just tell you, that doesn't mean you have to spend it.
Okay. It's staff time, that's all it is just
The
changing.
the issue is we've got to have a reason we're doing it. Again, monuments I go along with. Monuments are, they show your community. Sure, going into some of the other things, I just don't see the advantage to it whatsoever.
Like
Having a
what?
letterhead, who cares what the letterhead looks like? I don't care about that.
No.
People don't look at it.
No, but let's see what, I want to hear what you were thinking. Go ahead. The letterhead is gonna be just, instead of sending to the printer and say, hey, I want this, I want that, right? It's just literally that.
We don't send off and get boxes of letterhead printed. We just, as we type up a letter, we print it on our printer. We don't have
Yeah,
the fancy stock like
I,
you used to.
I understand all that, but out on the street, the question is, why do you need it?
because we want to have brand uniformity. We want to be clean and, okay.
Okay. So I'm, like I say, I'm all for the monuments. We definitely need monuments. I don't know how we, at one time, we had a picture of a monument, some with water features and some not. I don't know, we kind of got off of that.
That's for the
That's-
admin building and the parks.
Once you pick a brand and
And
colors and the logo, then we start to implement it.
So when we say brand, we're talking logo.
Logo, yes.
That's what we're
Yeah.
talking,
Okay.
logo.
So Chelsea, I want to remind us, we have never picked up, because Carol had this question and my memory was you did not pick a logo yet, because you know how we're showing the logo here, but I think it's for presentation purposes only. I don't think that's the logo that we voted on.
I think this is the one you were leaning towards.
Leaning
I don't know that.
because I
there's
remember
a
we said-
formal-
Yeah, I remember there was no formal vote and I remember we said not all the colors. Because I personally said, let's do all the colors because they look like the fountain. It'll be easy if something breaks, you have choices. But then I think the majority did not want as many colors as there are now. This is also something that to me, whatever the majority
No,
wants.
from what I recalled, I think Doug was the most vocal about, keeping, because I disagreed, but keeping the dull, I'll call them dull colors or not as vibrant, bright
Mhm.
colors, but having options because of the new admin building and having
Yes, I
primary
remember
and
that.
secondary, and
Okay.
having multiple colors. That way we have multiple options and everything's just not slate gray.
Do we have a pick? a
Yeah, I
page
mean,
here
typically
that
you would
shows
have
all
multiple colors. You'd have a primary, secondary, and supporting colors. I don't have a problem with anything that's been put together.
We can just pick one now.
Did you have all the
Do you
logos?
have the full brand style guide that I sent?
Yes.
Because we can go down to the page that identifies all the colors.
Take care of that now, the colors and the logos. then-
Only to Pelican Reserve is what Carol was talking about. The only way I see you can do it would be to have something like those two monuments over there that would say Pelican Preserve at Gateway. I don't know any other way you can do it.
Is this-
Yeah,
Because then
that's-
you've
I mean,
got all the
that-
communities over here, it's going like Stony Brook at Gateway, Gateway Greens at Gateway, Timber Ridge at Gateway.
My sign doesn't say, but my community
Here they are.
organization is actually Magnolia Lakes Ag Gateway.
That's what again?
Two
That's
pages
the
of
name.
them.
My community name is Magnolia Lakes Ag Gateway.
Yeah.
Most of them are gateway, they just omit it.
That's what you'd want to do
But-
probably at Pelican.
It goes down.
say Pelican Preserve.
Well, it's not only like it's C5, I mean, that part gateway. I mean, it's more than just one community.
Well, yeah, but you're,
Still like that gateway sign, that's like.
but I'm assuming that what you would be talking about is the two signs that enter into Pelican there at Tree Line that were.
I'm saying
those
tree
signs
line
would be-
and,
The gray one.
tree line and Colonial,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Not Pelican Reserve.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one, keep
yeah.
it as it is, the entrance
Yeah.
of the gate. I'm talking about the one that's far out with the jasmine and
Right.
yeah, the one up there at the
The arbor.
entrance off.
Right.
That would say,
You have-
Pelican Reserve at Gateway.
So do we want to go ahead and give the colors? Do we want to?
On the color line.
I didn't have a trouble with
There's two pages of them. There's those two, and there's two more below.
Okay, Doug, what is your opinion of
Yes,
colors?
let's see what.
I like either one of the first two options. If we want to stay with the canopy that is somewhat in the color wheel of a green. I personally, I mean,
That almost appears like a gray green to me. Is
yeah,
that what you're talking about?
yeah. I mean, either one of those, I would be fine with either one of those. I think they would look really good. I kind of lean towards the blue just because I just have a tendency to lean towards blue. But
Keep
But most
going.
of the time, when you see the logo, to be quite honest, it's going to be in a one color. It's going to be monochrome, so it's going to be on a shirt, or like with the district staff walking around. That's what you're going to see, unless it's on like a monument or something like that. But even then, I think that green or the blue, either one's fine. And I'm fine with the logo. I think it's more representative of what Gateway is than the Griffin. And I think if we're at a point where the community has changed significantly over the past 20, 30 years, it's probably time for a refresh. So I like what they put together. I don't have any problem with the design, with the style guide, the standards, the brand tone. I'm fine with all of it.
So are you good with blue trees as opposed to canopy green trees?
Yeah, because
Or doesn't it matter?
I don't,
It doesn't
we're
matter.
not talking about one color in the logo, are we? Because
no.
currently-
You're adopting the
The color. Yeah.
all the colors in the spectrum. Like if you go back to just go back to one of the very beginning, what you used. Yeah, so it's there's multiple colors in that.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
so you actually have the
is the
green,
hat
that's the
and the
green, the canopy green in the logo, but you're using the blue in the gateway, right?
Correct.
It's kind of a mix.
And if you had to go one color on the logo, I would just go with the green. Because I'm not sure the blue would look right for the trees.
Yeah. So I think it's a combination of both. I mean,
Okay, Doug, make a motion then.
I think we had a discussion. Did you guys address the taglines? I don't know that we discussed.
No, we didn't get that. We weren't there yet.
we hadn't gotten
I
there
think the
yet.
colors, okay.
Just one quick question. So the two color palettes that we were looking at, the canopy green and the fountain blue, we could adopt both of these color schemes, could we not?
Those are the two primary, and then right
Yeah.
below them, we've got the
Yeah.
two secondary colors.
Right. So that's what we're adopting is the color wheel, which includes the primaries and the secondaries. So depending on, we would get guidance from the brand guys on how to leverage the brand or the logo in different circumstances. So if we were to put these on a monument, we would get recommendations on how we would color the logo in a monument type environment.
Right.
Percentage wise, so it's the
Yeah.
100% colors.
So we would be adopting this presentation with the logo, the brand style, and the style guides in association with this document in its entirety, which would be fine.
Okay,
What is the,
I move that we adopt the trees as the logo. And that the trees be green and that the.
You don't have to do that.
letters Be blue.
Yeah, you don't even have to do that, Carol, to be honest. We just adopt the recommended
And
brand.
the color scheme.
Yeah, we just do it all. We do it in its entirety. But the one thing that Chelsea was saying is if we wanted to adopt the tagline, if we go to that slide, that's something we probably should decide on because we need to have one consistent.
Well, let's do two separate things. Let's handle.
It's all the way towards the bottom.
Yeah, okay, so let's handle the logo and go ahead and approve that and make that as its own motion. I think that's what we're leaning, and then we'll go with the tagline. So Carol, you had a motion to approve the presentation for the logo and the branding as was presented to us today?
Correct.
Okay, I'll second Carol's motion. Let's call for a vote on page. Okay,
what have we spent up to the day on this project? What's our budget?
Jesus.
17,000.
Okay, so we're not in it any deeper than 17,000 right now.
Yep.
Assuming we go all the way through with this and how expensive can it be?
It depends on how extravagant you want to go with the monuments, really, because there's not many physical components that we have out around that has that Griffin logo, other than the monuments. Everything else is superficial, like the letterhead or the website, or, things that we can easily change out. Business cards would probably
I'm
be
just
at the
worried about
next
the
most
cost.
costly thing.
Yeah, I was thinking business cards and.
And like shirts, slowly over time, we would change out the uniforms.
Okay, it wouldn't be a mess.
No,
No.
Okay, that's why I'm there.
we have a budget to stay within, and staff, we make sure we stay within.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. I'll call it for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so tagline.
Okay,
Okay, do we have to decide that today?
No,
don't have to.
Because,
But Scott's not coming back for a tagline only.
okay,
Yeah, we can just give it direction at the next meeting.
Sure.
But is there anything you wanted to add to the tagline for them for future meetings?
Have you guys already reviewed them?
well, we had them
Yeah.
in our packet.
Okay.
Can you just speak to like, what is the, so everyone understands? The tagline is, like, in your opinion, it represents the community. It sets the tone and the voice of the community, our mission, what we
Correct.
stand for. Like, if you can just tell us what we're looking at so we can decide, okay, this is like our logo. This is our mantra, our chant.
Right, and it helps, in a nutshell, explain to the public, someone looking at, well, they might not know what gateway services is. It kind of helps lend some definition to that. Tagline does not have to be used every time you use the logo, but it's there in case you want to add context to what the logo is getting across.
We can bring back the taglines at the next
Yeah.
meeting.
Back the taglines later. I don't think this board is speaking it as one voice right now, so I'd rather just push the taglines off and just put Gateway Services Community Development District, period.
Welcome
Right
to
now.
One Gateway.
That's a great proposal, Don.
No,
We'll bring it back after budget.
in fact, I'm gonna add
Yeah.
something.
There goes your sign.
Gotta have something about traffic jams.
Anything else for Scott? while
5
he's
minutes
here?
to get in. 2
No,
hours
that's
to
good.
get
Thank
out.
you. Great job on this. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Scott.
All right.
See you
Okay,
guys.
Have a great day.
Okay, so then now we're ready to move to district attorney.
District.
Oh, actually, no, let's go back to district manager items. Do you guys have an update for us?
I was able to discuss with Russ. He is unavailable next Friday. Tony, I don't know if you want to chime in about your,
No, I tried calling Jennifer Klinsky with the voicemail. I just now see a text I got from her at 4 o'clock that she was on call at the moment. So I'm just gonna say, okay,
Okay, how about we'll go to agenda management and then we'll give you some time to reach out to her.
I'll get text you back. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so let's Chelsea go future business.
Hey, Flavia, real quick.
Yes.
So are you the only one that's not available next week?
I'm available every day.
But I think we want to know if they agree in providing us the report.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the question. Like I know I don't have to be there. I'm confident that the 4 of you guys can relay the message and I can read the
Okay.
documents. But I think are they willing to provide this board
That's
with
the,
reports?
okay, that's the critical,
most
that's the
important.
critical path we're trying to
Yes,
determine. Okay,
exactly.
got it.
And
Okay.
if they're not, then we'll just say, then come to the meeting. It's gonna be complicated. I wouldn't want
The
that.
only thing that happened 14 was to have us a continuance of this,
But
separate from there.
correct, but to us to then put ourselves, because if we have a continuation, you have to have the meeting, right? But if they're not gonna meet and they're not gonna provide each other reports and
That is over.
then there's no point of us continuing this meeting. That's why. So let's just wait for Tony to reach out to Jennifer.
and that's if they even have a report.
Yeah.
We don't know that, so that's what Tony's clarifying. So on to agenda management. The 20th, we are trying to keep that as a very light meeting because of the public hearing, and we're going to be at the church over there.
The whole time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so we're trying, the whole
whole
meeting,
meeting.
yes. So we're trying to keep that a very light agenda. And then, as you can see, the workshop in April, we were going to have a very 35,000 foot capital budget discussion for next year. Department heads and staff have put together kind of forward thinking what they would anticipate as capital expenditures for next year. And then obviously we want to get your input in here if you have any initiatives that you'd like for staff to work on capital budget wise, but we'll have that for the April workshop. Unless you tell me otherwise.
Okay, can we also include methodology in that workshop also? Just so that this board can talk to each other?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't anticipate the capital budget.
At the April meeting.
It's up to you. You tell me what you
We'll
want.
already be done then. It'll be over with. The methodology will be over with after that 20th meeting. That's the way I vision it. After that public meeting, we'll have a vote.
Yeah, the only thing that changes between then and April is we'll be able to put numbers into it. Because we've assigned
Yeah,
styles.
yeah, because of the budget.
Well, and it'll take,
Okay.
that's gonna
Well,
take
you know,
time.
guys,
Yeah.
the devil is always in the details. I mean, once we get close to a methodology, I would like Laura and Russ to sit down and put every budget line item
Every line.
into a silo. So that we know when we come to budgeting then,
You mean using 2024 numbers? Because we won't
Yes.
have 2025 numbers.
yes, but we'll have the line item. I'm not worried about the number. I'm worried about what line items are going into
Those
what
categories get
silo.
placed.
Because that makes a big difference.
So we'll do half of that workshop for the, or less than that for the capital budget, and that can include assessment methodology as well.
And just so you're aware, I normally don't show the column when we're going through the budget itself, but all of those silos are included in my worksheet. So this year, because we're making the changes to the assessment methodology, I'll make sure that that is visible as we're going through each line item. We'll also
Okay.
not only assign the dollar amount, we'll verify what bucket. Because those buckets are already there. I just don't share those with you because it didn't affect it. It didn't make as big of an impact in the past as it does now within the methodology. So I'll make sure that that's visible as we go through the budget.
And you'll note the next President's Council meeting is in Gateway Greens and at the end of April. So, is there anything that, you would like to add to this?
When is the next budget?
Assessment, April 24th.
April 24th in Gateway Greens.
First thing will be the
Yes. And then, if we're done with this, I just have a couple, other items that I'd like to bring up while Tony's on the call. Monday, considering you guys have approved the meter box replacement project. Monday, we're planning on the contractor next week after NTP and all the paperwork gets signed, starting in Pelican Reserve. So what we're planning on doing is through each phase, as the contractor moves to the next community, we are going to have a town hall in that community. So Monday, the 10th at 10, we have the Pelican Preserve Town Hall for all of those residents for their meter box replacement. As of right now, we have penciled in Stony Brook to be the next phase. So as we progress through and get these boxes in, we'll host those town hall meetings and have kind of like a dog and pony show, showing residents, bringing the meter box, bringing in the assemblies and showing exactly what's gonna happen. I will be off next Monday. I'll be flying out of town, but if you need anything, as always, you can email me. I'll be flying to North Carolina for a long weekend for birthdays, so.
So who's gonna spearhead the meeting on that?
The meeting with Wendy.
The 10th meter.
No, I will be there. No, I'm sorry, the 17th. St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, you will be there.
St. Patrick's Day, yes, I will be there at
Got
that.
Oh, sure is a birthday.
There's two, actually. March is expensive for Chelsea. That's all I have under district manager items.
So Tony's still on the phone, so we'll move the supervisor comments and then come back to that.
Okay, I had, lady who I play bridge with, come up with, I think is a pretty nice idea. She said, there are people in Pelican that, first of all, the majority of people in Pelican have no idea what Gateway is, have no idea what Gateway Services Community Development District, have no idea what a CBD is. They have no clue. I would say that's a good 90%. Even though they get their water, or even if they get their water and whatever, they don't. They identify with the city of Fort Myers because we're incorporated into Fort Myers. So we don't identify with county or Gateway, we identify with city of Fort Myers. And to the other 10% that we've had some issues with in the community association and others, saying Gateway just like almost raises a red flag. So I would like to ask the board if when we make comments that we not use the phrase one gateway, but use the phrase one district. It's softer. We know we're all one district, but we are not all one gateway. And so I would like to ask if my fellow board members would please use the phrase, if you're going to use that phrase, one district as opposed to one gateway.
Sounds reasonable to me.
That's a quote.
You want to
I'm a
comment?
request.
And the roar of the crowd said,
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's,
I mean,
Semantics.
one district all the time.
yeah, I mean, it's semantics, but look, if it makes Pelican feel better, because of the language, I agree with you. It is softer. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's still Gateway District, but it's fine.
Then the other thing was I was not able to attend the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting, but I did read through their agenda and it seemed like one of their members, Mr. Ruth, had presented a rather interesting use for what you call now the fun park, which he wants to call something else. I can't remember the name.
Agility track or something like that,
Yes,
agility course.
but so there were some diagrams in with the thing, and I was looking them on my laptop, which isn't really very big. I don't know what happened at the meeting, but I was wondering, could we get maybe a bigger cut, all the board members get something bigger of what he's talking about than that 8.5 by 11 that I'm looking at, because it had a lot of detail in it.
What's he wanting to do?
Convert the fun park into like an agility course where you go and like train and work out. The PrAC has not voted on that. They discussed
It
it.
was just an idea.
It was an idea. I can, if you'd like it, I don't know if the rest of the board members want it.
I would prefer that it comes from PrAC, not from individual
I
members.
thought at one time that was one of the alternative options at the overall Neck Park
It
Master
is.
Plan.
It is, so that you're gonna be redundant. Yeah, that is.
Okay,
It is in the master.
okay.
And that's the one that we were actually got a grant, right?
So,
And we said that we
so
didn't want it.
did the advisory committee discuss that, or?
I don't
They
know.
discussed it in length and it was a night meeting and Carrie had to cut them off because it was going on.
Yeah, so I don't wanna redundant, I mean, at least I don't wanna redundant, I don't wanna build something of that commons and then rebuild a fun park.
Yeah.
You know what
Well, I mean, I think what I'd love to see from the Parks and Rec is, I mean, right now we've spent a enormous amount of time just getting momentum for the new Commons Park area. Eventually we will have to do something with the fun park, but I almost feel like we just need to put a pause on that and shift the park committee's attention to programs and how do we enhance existing usage in our existing amenities and facilities.
Carrie, Doug, Carrie did try to do that, but they wanted to discuss what to do with the fun park. So
Yeah.
I can emphasize that back if that's the direction of the board is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, I agree with Carol. I mean, I love the ideas and we're going to have to do something with that. I think I think we need to put a pin in that for a little bit and let's get some momentum on the park, because ultimately, I think we need to get better, enhanced participation in all of our parks and amenities. And I think that comes through, one, the enhancement of the commons area, but two, we need programs. We need programs to get people out. And I think we need to get a pulse check from the community on what they want to see. Is it yoga? Is it, senior programs? Is it enhanced youth programs? Is it, I don't know, garden clubbing? I have no idea. But if you look at the communities that do this really well, like Pelican, I think Gateway Greens has stuff they do more, maybe more alignment with the club, but and even Stony Brook, we've got an activities director. We've got someone that's coordinating, understanding what our residents are looking for, and someone to facilitate those programs. And some of those can be revenue generating. Some of those are a service that the district should be providing as a mutual benefit to the amenities that the taxpayers are paying for.
Well, anyway, I was just very surprised at it and, was thinking, are they off marching by their own drummer or something? That I was surprised. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have any funding for anything of the fun park right now. And I don't think there's an appetite for any additional funding for the fun park right now.
And then my last thing, Laura, as we're coming up to the next budget now, 26.
Mhm.
When does something get put in a silo that is now a capital thing?
Once it becomes O&M. If it's capital, it stays in capital. Once it
Okay, so it
becomes
stays in
maintenance,
capital until it's built.
yes,
So like the admin building will stay in capital. It will not go into any silo or anything until it's built.
correct.
Not
That's what,
No,
So
What?
we anticipate that admin building to be constructed in, per the plan from OAK, April of next year. So if that were the case, we would have O&M expenses from April to September. So we would have to anticipate and put in the budget.
construction always takes longer.
I know, but we like to plan, so we would have to plan O&M expenses for those months.
utilities and all that.
But you would also be not having to rent any property and
Correct.
all that sort of stuff. So you're gonna,
Yes,
Some portions it would be a wash. Yes.
okay. But that doesn't hit it until it's built.
well,
In other words, O&M for the park won't hit until that particular amenity is
Correct.
built.
correct. So what we'll do for next year's, for the budget for fiscal 26, because hopefully anticipating that both the admin building and the park stuff will be done before the end of fiscal 26, we'll have to gauge how many months of that will have those expenses, and that's the amount that we'll put into the
Just have a
budget
partial budget.
for that. Yeah, it won't be for a full year. It'll just be we have to guess when we'll be moving in and how much time and how much the expenses will be for that time. So it won't be a full year's of expense, a full year of expense.
Insurance, utilities, everything.
Right,
It'll be
but-
partial year.
Like you said too, when we pay over
So
$2,000 a
the
month,
building,
that's
the-
bond money.
Pelican is going to be paying 14%.
Correct.
O&M, we're gonna be paying 1/3 of whatever,
A half for admin, yeah.
1/3 of a half,
Which is 17%.
17%.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
Say that.
Already done.
Nothing either?
I only have one issue, and is that stupid,
Wait, don't say nothing. Let me go to Bob and then I'll come back to you.
well, he might generate something.
Go ahead.
When do we actually plan on breaking ground?
Yeah.
We did.
We did.
I mean, when are you gonna get out there and start?
Garage sale.
When we get a permit.
Well, that's one of the questions.
Still on.
We still don't have it?
We have a hiccup with the roof, the roofing. And so the engineers and the architects and everybody are trying to iron that out. But as of right now, their schedule says April, like
That
April.
sounds good.
Okay.
So
That's what I just.
That's it?
No.
So, that's it?
Are we in a hurry now? You gonna go to Brazil?
For bees are waiting.
Still people see.
Exactly, there is, I know.
I looked on site, Gateway site for photos from the groundbreaking. Am I not looking at the right place? Because everything I find here is just shows the.
We just posted it yesterday.
Today,
Today.
I was asking her the same thing, I'm like, I dressed up for what?
We just posted them today, because we just got the pictures back from the photographer, so. Can you look over
I
the
went
pictures?
on it
No.
today. I went on it on
It
the
should
day.
be-
I didn't see it. Okay, that's all.
Give me a sec.
1 second, I believe that we have a widget on the website that, and the.
Oh, I did not see it on the website, I saw it on
Yeah.
Facebook.
That's the one I clicked
Oh,
on, which you're looking at right now.
That.
And all that was is the announcement of the groundbreaking.
Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, right in that widget,
The widget.
Yeah.
Okay, so can
right there.
can we go,
Oh,
can we go ahead, can we go ahead and put it what the link is?
It's
Yeah.
on our Facebook page.
Oh, it is,
Yeah, the link goes to the Facebook page.
Okay, thank you. Now I know how to find it. Maybe you do.
Right there.
Oh, there you go.
I want to get her listening to it.
where's Paul? Oh.
We have to log in, that's fine. Anyway, it's on our website, yes.
It's on, the link to the Facebook page is on our website, so the pictures are actually posted on Facebook.
You want us to send you the pictures, Bob?
No, I know. It was, I didn't know where to look for.
Why don't you put them out in the audience?
Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
That's it. Doug?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, I just have two things, just a reminder, and then just because during the meeting, I was getting bombarded with calls. Lee County Sheriff's Office, it has been on site in the last few days, they're enforcing speed, no parking on the right of way, and also the golf cart, okay, issues, so just FYI. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, sidewalk repairs in Griffin, and I'm gonna say thank you for all the signs and closures, you know. They're doing really fast, so that's FPL, right?
That is Atlantic Southern and FPL's paying.
Yeah, so that's underneath the power line, it's pretty much the whole entire sidewalk, which is good, he needed it, okay, that's it, that's all I have.
All right,
So-
going back,
Follow up
Where
on.
are we at on this?
Tony?
The meeting.
I talked to Jennifer Flinsky, the attorney for PPCA. There is no report. Her letter is basically a summary of the observations and analysis that was performed by the consultant. And so-
Well, can we get a summary of that observation? Because I'm sure he had to submit something.
It is, it's in the packet, it's in the agenda packet.
Oh, it's just that? Oh, okay.
All of this that's in the letters and all the.
That's all that you talk about? That's it?
I don't know if that's all they're gonna talk about. I didn't ask her that. Okay.
That is why staff is there, not to intervene between the two professionals, which is what was recommended, was to make sure that they stay on track with only the 4 items that were addressed as part of that agenda.
So they're gonna just talk about those.
I just don't want to get ambushed at the 20th with Fishkind showing up. I feel not like that at all.
I'll make sure.
Understood, but
I've been down this road before. I've seen that before.
Right, to attend the public meeting?
And they want to do it, then all they're going to get from me is no, hell no
let me,
on everything.
We've got to that.
and I would suggest that, for the record, that there not be any determination as to what analysis is brought forward now. Listen to make a fair determination assessment at that time. That's when your decision needs to be made based upon the evidence and testimony that you receive at that time. That, I need to make that clear. So we're,
So,
Retract what you said,
I'm sorry.
retract what you said.
I'm just saying that I don't want an ambush.
I understand.
We can't.
Again, I
We
understand.
Not want that, but at the same time.
I remember that happening back when we decided to fill.
Again, I understand that. I explained to you how I conduct my practice and how governmental bodies appreciate getting that in advance. But there's no prohibition against that material being provided at the time of the board meeting.
so. We're
It isn't their, I mean, honestly, it's in their benefit to provide the documents to us as soon as possible.
Okay.
So maybe we totally agree, we never thought about that, or we disagree, and then it allows them time to then come back with something else. I mean, so it isn't.
Confrontation.
Yeah, it isn't their benefit to bring that back to us. That's
So-
So that explains one thing, that explains why Fishkind hasn't gotten with Russ. He has nothing to give to Russ.
So does the board?
So the motion that I retracted, I'll reinsert.
Well, hold on, that motion, there was a lot of extra with that, so
There's no report.
the recommendation from staff and the discussions we had with Jennifer Kalinsky was Laura and myself and Russ meet with Hank Fishkind. They have not identified any other PPCA representative to meet as soon as possible. Only discuss the items that were provided to you in this agenda packet.
Right, just those four.
Just the 4 items. After that meeting, staff will put together a summary report to include in your March 20th board meeting packet. And some of those items may be agree to disagree, or.
Right.
We listen.
So no BPCA will be at the meeting, just.
That is what is.
Because then we keep the board out of it.
Yes.
Right, so let's do that. No BPCA, just the professionals and staff. No board, no BPCA, period.
Is that a requirement of the meeting?
Sounds good to me.
I'm
No,
clarifying,
no report.
and
no
there's
report.
nothing available.
We're not
There's
getting a
nothing to
report from the
produce.
We don't know. I mean, again, there is no report now.
As of
Whether
right
they
now.
have something at the time, we don't know.
As of right now, there's nothing to provide.
You've received everything that they have as of right now.
So does the board recommend that?
Yes,
Yeah,
I made the motion. As we stated.
I will second that motion.
as was clarified by Laura. Which is to have the meeting next week. I'm just recapping, I want to make sure that they're having a meeting next week. It's gonna be the 2 consultants and staff only. They're gonna have a summary and they're gonna bring that back to us on the 20th.
Well, can we get the summary with the
So,
details?
yeah,
In your board
yeah.
pack.
As soon as we get
As
it,
soon as you got
Okay,
it.
so that's the motion, we have a motion by, go ahead.
Does Russ know that this is going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows there's no report.
we have to let
I
him know.
don't think Russ knows it. You're setting him up. I don't like it. It stinks. No, I'm opposed to it. You're setting the man up. Why would you
That's
want
why-
to do that to our consultant?
That's why I asked for the agenda in advance and Russ was provided the agenda and he's already reviewed the agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, second by Carol. Let's call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I-
Did you get the vote?
He didn't vote. He's muted.
Just ask.
Is he going?
Doug,
We don't get 200 for today.
Are you in
Yeah.
favor of the meeting or not?
195.
He only gets
Yes.
$150.
Doug says yes.
Okay, so 4-1.
okay.
All right, nothing else?
Move to adjourn.